What up, Nine?
Trapaholics Mixtapes.
As the 9% and word would say, make a better you, a better us.
Give them what they ask for.
Who do you think you are? I'm the word. Boy, man, I'm the one who put in the work.
When I move, it's in a quick rumble. I will never ever fall, never stumble. And I don't need to be humble. Break down walls like Jericho crumble.
What up, though? It's the word. You see the title. We about to get into it. But before we do that, let me get into the chat. Ain't nobody in the chat. Let me get into the chat. Ain't nobody in the chat. So, it's a chill stream open panel. I'm talking to myself right now. People probably come in a little later. If they don't, like I always say, I'm paying for a good time, but not a long time. So, it is what it is. But yeah, chill stream, open panel event, blow it off your chest. Deontay Wilder fought tonight, right? And watching that fight, and I'm like, you realize, like, as you get older, things change, and I just look at myself, I'm 41, I ain't too much younger than he is, but just watching him fight, you start getting slower, and his punch resistance ain't the same as. And he looked good tonight, though. He really looked good, but at some point you got to let it go. He couldn't fight top competition. I definitely don't believe at this point in his career he can fight top competition. Like when he fought Joseph Parker and Big Bang Zhang, I knew Big Bang was gonna knock him out, but I mean, as we get older, we try to hold on to the young, I think, instead of embracing what we are experiencing in the present. I always say that. Well, I don't always say, but it just seemed to me like when you're young, you want to be old, and when you're older, you try to be young. It's like that's how we. I mean, just watching people, like, and I used to laugh at people, and that's why I think I'm enjoying myself getting older. It's new things. Even excited about adapting to doing stuff. Like I just start working out again, right? And even with the working out, I'm not as flexible. I'm definitely not as strong. Um, I'm starting to feel the wear and tear I put on my body when I was young, especially in my knees and elbows. It's catching up to me with so, but I still can do a lot of the stuff that I did. I just had to adjust and modify things. So Mr. Gary Busted Down Brown, what it do with the business is? What up, Nine? Commander, the lady of the nine. What it do with the business is? What up, Nine? Yeah, I'm kind of confined to the computer right now because my earbuds tripping, so I can't walk around. So I'm kind of restricted right now. But yeah, I just watching, that Deontay Wilder fight. But it's some things that he did improve on. He looked good. But it's just like watching him is like, you know, I just see. I don't want him to be that person that held on to it too long. I think as we get older, we need to embrace the nuances that come with the age. Instead of trying to be young. And I mean, you see that, man. I didn't even know my dog was right here laying down. I'm like, what the hell was that? But as I'm saying, like, even with me, just my own self, it's like what comes with the age. Okay, I can't do this no more, so I can get more into this. I can get more into that. But I am about to buy this weighted vest because I'm not gonna run, I'm not gonna go on the runs, but I am about to get into jogging. I walk, I walk all the time, so I done built my stamina up for walking. So it's time to take that to the next level. And I want to lose this dad belly. I got to get rid of this belly before next year. I'm good. I'm working on it now. I gotta. What used to take me 3 months probably gonna take me 9, 10 months, but I'm fine with that because, like, even my muscle mass and where I lost the most muscle mass. I lost a lot of muscle mass when I got when I went through this with my shunt. I lost a lot of muscle mass. Like, so I got stretch marks like all up on my shoulder, like in my the parts of the biceps and the arms, uh, in my thighs, like, because I lost a lot of muscle mass, but I lost the most in my forearms. Like, this look crazy. I don't like the way my forearms look. So yeah, I got a lot of rebuilding to do, but I'm enjoying it, having fun doing it. It's just instead of the big bulky weight, now I gotta just higher the reps and lessen the weight because I can feel that shit in my elbows. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to do too much more damage to it now. But I ain't been taking my vitamins or nothing. I ain't taking no vitamins in like 4 years. So I'm just starting back on. I'm changing the way I operate. I got to get back to my more health. I got lazy. I definitely got lazy. I don't take my vitamins. I used to drink. I mean, just my water, my tea. I drink more coffee now and juice. I used to just drink water and tea, and I make juices. I have my own juices. But I start, I eat like them jalapeno cheese puffs. I love them things. Them things be slapping, but I be eating those. I be eating Reese cup. Yeah, I used to snack on like some, like, I ain't gonna say like high protein, but fiber protein, like nuts and berries. That's what I used to snack on all the time. I just got to change everything. I done got lazy and convenient. That's what I got. But it's a process, and I understand it take me like 4 or 5 days to develop a routine. Give me 4 or 5 days solid, and I got a solid routine. You know, where I can incorporate it into my current situation. Are you able to get in the sauna? They have an affordable home sauna on Amazon, makes you sweat. I don't think I'm not a sauna guy. I don't even like sauna. I don't like being hot. I'd rather be cold. Honestly, I don't like being hot. I'd rather be cold. I do not like sauna. I do not like sauna. But yeah, it's just this new. I'm gonna start running that. Well, as soon as this vest come in, I'm gonna start running at night with the dog. I'm gonna get me a jog in. I'm gonna start with like a quarter mile. Do a quarter mile and walk the rest. So by the time I get back, it'll probably be like I think it's like 1.2 miles. like the route I take. So if I run a quarter of that, and then bump that up, because like when I run, I stop smoking. That's like the easiest way for me to stop smoking. I've been smoking black. Like I said, I've been lazy. Like I kind of like it ain't. I ain't give up, but it was. I got into that fucking mode. So I just got to change everything. I just got to change everything. Dee Dee, Dee Dee, Dee Dee, Dee Dee, Dee Dee, Dee Dee, Dee Dee. What up, though, Dee Dee? Appreciate you, sis. Appreciate you. Yeah, I'm just talking, man. I'm just talking. We ain't talking about nothing. But I do want to ask y'all something. So I got this show, right? And I didn't. What? But so I want to talk about we was talking about detachment. What the heck just happened? We was talking about like detachment, right? How to detach from things that's not beneficial to you. I think we was talking. What was we talking about? We was talking about relationships when I came. Forget what we was talking about. But we talking about like detaching from things that's not beneficial to you. If it's people, places, or things. And my idea was because it's some things you can detach from, and then there's some things you can't. You got to kind of deal with it. Like sometimes environmental circumstances, you got to deal with that shit. You can't just walk away from it. You know what I'm saying? You can't ignore it and wait till it go past. You actually got to deal with it. So I want to talk about like emotional attachment. Like even like who was I listening to earlier? Shout out to Selena. Tay eat y'all. Tay eat y'all. What up, nah? Happy belated birthday, sis. Happy belated. Happy belated Mother's Day, too. Happy belated Mother's Day. Shout out to Tay eats y'all. We can't wait for you to go back live or give us some upload. Give us something. Dang, Tay. Give us something. Tay ain't even been eating lately. Come on now, Tay. Come on, Tay Tay. Shout out to sis, man. We miss you, sis. We miss you. That I was just saying that the other night. I was literally just saying that the other night. I'm looking like I know Tay busy. I know she grinding. That thing, like Tay, when she got a goal, she focus on it and knock it out. So I'm like, I know she busy. And when she get time, life be life. I took stretches off of here, man. I took stretches. So I mean, life be life. Atmosphere, my guy. What it do with the business is? What it do with the business is? But yeah, so and you know what really motivated me? My daughter, man, my daughter is 2 years old. I swear, when she interact with you, you would think she like 4 or 5. Like her cognitive skills is crazy. But I was showing her some pictures. She was in my phone. I was showing her pictures, and she seen some pictures. When I was younger and I was working out. She's like, "Daddy big, Daddy strong." I'm like, "Yeah." She was like, and she started pushing at my stomach like, "Daddy get strong, Daddy get strong." So I'm like, "Okay, my daughter calling me fat, telling me to get strong." So let me go. That kind of gave me some extra motivation. Like, I had to do this for my baby now, and it's crazy because both my kids they enjoy working out. So, and the more like my son used to play all the time, but like I said, my daughter, her cognitive skills is amazing because she good at mimicking, and she try to do stuff exactly like she said. So he see her taking it seriously, so now he taking it seriously. Like, oh, I'll get strong. He had like I bought him a little 1 and 2 pound weight, so now he like he really serious about working out now. He want to work out every day. Like me and her, like do it, and he'll be doing his own thing. But the last 5 days, he been there with us working out, and he already solid. That boy is solid, man. He a solid 60 pounds, solid. And she 40 pounds. My daughter 20 pounds lighter than my son. my auntie seen her on camera, like, is she, how old is she, 4? I'm like, nah, she 2. Like, 2 what? 2. She like, 2 what? Man, yeah, my mom and them down in Pennsylvania on they on the river right now. They on my cousin's fundraiser. I told her I'd be down there next year, but I should be able to travel. I feel a lot strong. Man, this is like, I know y'all don't hear me complain or nothing, but like, man, it's been a hell of a road, bro. Like, I remember when this first started going down, I couldn't even move, man. Like, when that pressure was up before I got the shunt, man, the pressure in my head was so bad it like shocked my spine. Like, I used to have spasms all down. Imagine, like, I can feel it all in 32 vertebrae. I mean 33 vertebrae. All 33 vertebrae. I felt like a shock, a pull. And it was like I used to just be laying there like, please don't spasm, please don't spasm. And then even after I got the shunt, I was weak as hell. But I kept pushing, kept getting up, kept moving. Because I had my son. My son was little. So I'm like, I still got my baby. I still got my baby. My mother-in-law just passed away. So my wife, she here, but she not here. You know what I'm saying? Like, her mom just died. So mentally she here, but she not here. And even when I first started getting on YouTube, I wasn't even like, that's why I was on YouTube so much. That's all I can do is talk. Like, really, I couldn't really do too much, like move around and stuff like that. I was weak, and now it's like I'm not like normal before it all happened, but I'm damn near close. I'm damn near close. Like, me and when I was running sprints with my son, like through the front yard, it's a nice size front yard. So we running back and forth sprints, and I'm like, damn. And we done did this 10 times, like straight, back forth, back forth, back forth. You know, go down 1, come back 2, go down 3, like that. So, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I ain't get dizzy or nothing. I think when I first started trying to work out, I tried to go back to what I did, and that's why I kept passing out. But it's just, I got one mode, but I had to learn different gears now. That's all it is. I just got to learn different gears. Kids will copy everything you do. Yeah, definitely my dog. I can't tell y'all what my wife just told me. Oh man, I can't tell y'all that. I'm like, oh my god, I ain't even think he's seen that. No pressure, Tay. I'm just kidding around. I'm glad you're doing well. Man, word, I hope. Yeah, everything good. We been kicking it, man. My sister from Pennsylvania came up here a couple weeks ago, and I was kicking it with her. You know, her husband and my nephew. My older nephew couldn't come because he just started a job, but I just talked to him today. Man, I'm so proud of that boy. I remember when he was a baby. Man, my sister was scared to tell me. I'm like, how you gonna tell dad before you tell me? She was like, because I'm more afraid of you than dad. I'm like, what? Like, look, man, when I was younger, I was fucking nuts, right? And I wasn't like a predictable. I think this is why everybody was like, when I was younger, everybody kind of tiptoed around me because I wasn't predictable crazy, right? I was spontaneous. Like, I either, it was like, it was just a different. It was just different. And I think that's why people tiptoe around me. You know, like when you got a crazy motherfucker, you kind of know how to deal with them. But with me, it was like, okay, yeah, I don't know. This motherfucker be quiet and then he'll just snap. Like, nah, leave him alone. Because you'll be thinking everything cool and then he'll just flip you. But yeah, so she didn't even want to tell me she was pregnant. But, when she told me, I was happy for her. I was upset that she got pregnant, but I was still happy. Like, I got a nephew coming. You know, I got a nephew coming. Plead the fifth. Right. I can't tell you the type of crazy I was, but man, that shit kind of seemed like a whole nother life, man. Hold on, give me 1 second, man. I ain't got my earbud on. I don't know where I left my coffee at. But yeah, that feel like a whole different life though. Like from when I was younger till now, that feel like a whole different life. Like I am not that person. I'm not even close to what I used to be. It's like I don't know. When I look at my youth, I understand ignorance. Like I really understand. Like I think my youth defines my ignorance. Just everything, even the way I looked at life. You know, um, that's what they say. Things that matter now ain't gonna matter later. So even looking at that aspect, you know, Gary fell asleep already. Tay, we're gonna have to replace Tay sleeps with Gary sleeps. He gonna sleep way more than you ever did. We're gonna have to damn, why can't I think right now? What's the name of that? Narcolepsy. Gary be having narcolepsy. He be there 1 second, be gone the next. And be gone the next. But what's been popping, y'all? I've been talking too much. I've been talking a lot. Like I said, I ain't really got nothing to say. I ain't got nothing to vent about. Life is good, man. Life is good. So I ain't got nothing to vent about. I mean, so we could talk about kids all day. We could talk about kids all day. Yeah, I was listening. I was hoping my daughter went to sleep because they was having a good conversation on Selena panel today. Like when I heard the part of the conversation, I heard where they was talking about like jealousy in a relationship, and like me personally, I've never been a jealous person. Like in a relationship, I've never been jealous. Like, and I never been. I think all men should be territorial, but I've never been possessive. I've been protective, and I think and come up at 10. I have a video to play. Cool. And I never been possessive, but always been protective, right? So, but I seen the opposite. I always seen the opposite of what I was. So I understand. Like, I understand a lot of the. I just felt like if I had a fear of a woman cheating on me, why be with her? That I always thought like that. Like, why do I have? I don't like work, and I think that's because of like the type of lifestyle I was living too. A lot of the way I looked at how to interact with people was due to my life. I just understood like the game because like when you and then like the experiences. So like I had people close to me try to set me up. Like people close to me that I ate with, that I cried with, that I laughed with, that those people like tried to get me up out of there. So once that happened, then it was like I had a dose of reality at a young age. Like, man, people are people. No matter what you think, about people. Only person truly knows a person is that person. You don't know what's in people's head, So I learned that, and I think that just gave me my whole perception. I think people are naive. I think most people are naive. And when you're in a relationship, you have to and it takes experience, for you to experience something, I believe. But like when you're in a relationship, I just feel like if you willing to give more to that person than they willing to give you, it's probably not gonna work out. And if you ain't willing to give and that person is, it ain't gonna work out. And if ain't nobody giving, y'all gotta be on tune on the same frequency, have a understanding. And I don't think people take the time to really get to know a person. And I'm just being real. I don't think you get to really know a person until some type of adversity shows. Like it has to be, because a person's true nature will always come out in times of need. Like, and when you really in that survival mode, that's when you will see a person's nature. And like when my mother-in-law passed away, like when she went on hospice, my wife, she even said, she was like, I did not expect you to do everything you did. Like it wasn't, when they said it, it wasn't even a question. They was like, I think it was my wife. It was her dad. Her dad was like, are we gonna be able to visit her in the hospital? And I was like, nah, she coming home. Like she ain't going to no hospital. No, she come home. And then they was like, oh, you gonna let her die? And yeah, man, she go die with us. It ain't about dying in no apartment. It's about being with loved ones until you're not here no more. That's what it's about. So, and then just taking care of her. Like, man, it's my mama. When you get married, you become one, man. What's mine is yours. What's yours is mine. I'm gonna take care of my mama. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I don't think she expected that. And when I lost my eyesight, like the way my wife stepped up, like that's some adversity, man. Like we went through some shit, and prior to that, everything was great. It was really no adversity that we had to face, I guess you could say. No, but when it happened, and we was already married, but it's like that was just confirmation. Like I picked the right one, because when times get hard, she was like, "What we got to do? What we gonna do?" That's what my wife do. She looked to me for guidance, and she solely trusts me. Whatever I say, if I'm like, "Hey, look, we gonna have to weather this storm," we gonna hunker down. She'd be like, "All right." Or if I say, "Hey, we go party in the rain," she'd be like, "All right." She really followed my lead. But you, like, even she said you proved it. Like, and I never had to ask you. You just do stuff. You see stuff that need to be done, and you just take the initiative to do it. So I already knew what I was getting out of you. And she was like, "It's consistent. You've been doing that for 5 years straight. Never had to ask you to do something." She'd say, "Oh, I think my brake's going bad. Oh, come on, pick me up. We gonna go, or I go." I did her brakes over. Oh no, I did it over Miles both times. But she came over. I'm like, let me check the brakes up. Okay, bam. I went and got the brake pads, put them bitches on. She looking at me like yeah, Missing Ma, what up though? And one time she's like, the AC out. I'm like, all right, bring it over. Okay, I had to make sure it wasn't the heater core thermostat. Just need to be recharged. Let's go up there, bam, do that. She was like, I remember like the first year I was dating, she was like, you know how much money I saved of just you working on my car and me not going to the mechanic? She's like, you know how much money I saved this year? But it's just shit like that. Like, just take it, and with her, it was just like anything I ever said, like, I want to do this or I want to go here, she always supported. Like, come on, let's do it. Like, come on, what you need? What I got to do? She always, anything I said, she always supported. And I probably can count the time on two hands when she asked me why, like questioned something I did, or when I come up with an idea or something. I think I can count on two hands how many times she questioned it. Like, well, why is that? And not in the sense like going against it, but just trying to understand it. But I think a person has to prove they're capable of doing it. I think they should prove. Like, I think men should prove. That's the whole dating part. That's the dating, the getting to know someone. You understand their habits, and then you can watch the consistency or the lack of consistency. Uh, are people saying, like, people always have big dreams. You meet somebody, oh, what you gonna be doing? You got a 5-year plan. Okay. I don't think enough people asked about that. I don't think people try to understand people culture. And when I say culture, a lot of times we associate that to race, but even the same race will have a different culture because the culture's built around the upbringing. Your culture is built around your upbringing, what you was exposed to, your religion, your beliefs, your perception of even what a role is. Like, people don't ask these questions like, well, what is the role? Or what should I expect? Or what can I expect? People don't ask people their expectations. They don't tell people their expectations, and they don't ask other people their expectations. I think that'll get, I think that'll clear a lot of the water out the way. Just simply asking, okay, if we get in a relationship, what do you expect from me? It shouldn't, no, you have to define things. Like, the older I get, the more important it becomes for me to understand what the hell is going on. Because I don't want no damn surprises, in life in general, not just in a relationship, but that's just how I want to know what's going on. BDB, how you living? How you feeling? What up, Nine? What it do with the business is? But yeah, the older I got, the more important it is for me to understand, because I ain't trying to waste no time doing something that don't need to be done. I'm good. If it don't need to be done, I ain't doing it. But this, like, when you in that dating phase, people, it should be certain. It should be like everybody feel comfortable to talk when they want to. It might be the first date, second date. The more you get to know the person, the more information you reveal. That's natural. But before you get in a relationship, I think people need to understand people's expectations. I think they need to understand their goals. I think they need to understand their upbringing / culture. And I think these are some of the top things avoided, because even coaching people in relationships, like, you sitting down talking to them, and it's things like that they don't know from one another. Fly Swatter, what up, though? What up, though? Appreciate you. But it's things like that people don't know. Like, how are you in a relationship with someone and you don't know, like, what they want to do in the next 5 years, or what their 10-year plan is? Because y'all might be going different directions. That might cause conflict. But if it's talked about prior, you can make easy adjustments. Like, you can. It's a possibility you can make adjustments, But those conversations need to be had. The expectations. Yeah, you can assume, but assuming usually leave you like the first 3 letters of the word, right? And ass, donkey. You be looking donkey like, assuming things. Have that's the vital part about communication. right? When you say communication is important in a relationship, communication, that is very important, but what the hell are you communicating? What are you communicating? What are y'all talking about? So communication, that's why I always use the term effective communication, especially like when I'm working with my clients. Effective communication. Well, what's the difference? Well, effective communication is bringing clarity, because if you ain't on the same frequency, you can't get on it if you have a conversation about it, because that's and a lot of problems, not just in romantic relationship, just human interaction, is misunderstandings, misinterpretation. That's what happens a lot, because we always perceive life the way we do. So when people do something that's odd to us, or it may be different to us, we feel some type of way, because if we did that, then it means this. But that's not always true. Sometimes the same thing happens for different reasons. People don't take relationships seriously anymore. No, I know all about dumb relationships. Yo, Riaz, what up, though? Now, people don't take relationships. I don't think people take themselves seriously. I'm being honest. I don't think people take themselves seriously. Like, cause why waste your time doing something that, like, not beneficial to you? I don't think people take themselves seriously, because that's why I always say, care about yourself. Because when you care about yourself, you start moving different. Like, yeah, you can be humble, you can be modest, you can be nice, but you don't have to take shit doing it. You don't have to get stumped over and walked over. Like when we was talking about those quotes from Machiavelli. Virtue without canniness is weakness. Being nice to someone that don't deserve it, what sense does that make? Being nice to someone who don't deserve it, what sense do that make? Even giving your time to someone who don't deserve it, giving your love to someone who don't deserve it, your affection, your loyalty, anything that's precious to you, you giving it to someone who doesn't deserve it, who's not going to take care of it, then that's your fault. I had to learn that the hard way. Loving someone who couldn't even love themselves. And it's like I'm expending all of this energy on this person when I could have, one, reserved it for myself, or two, gave it to somebody else who deserved it. Gave it to someone else who would appreciate it. You know, I think a lot of people, including myself, you know, because I had to learn how to let my shell down, let my guard down. But because of prior experiences, you know, a lot of people live in defensive mode. They be, you know, we be defensive. We got to protect ourselves, because if we don't, who else go do it, right? If I don't protect myself, who else go do it? You know, we live like that. And like when you first see it as an issue, or it's preventing you from developing socially, then sometimes you overextend putting your guard down. You put your guard down to the wrong people, and then you get reminded why you had it up. So I had to come up with something like, and it's not nothing new under the sun. Ain't nothing new under the sun. But I had to come up like, look, man, you can't just get us to everybody. Come
What up, Nine?
What up, Nine? Chat, where you at?
Chat, where you at? Keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, you cool. But yeah, so I just had to realize, like, look, man, you just can't go around slinging this. You can't just start slinging yourself around. You gotta make sure that the people you're giving it to appreciate it like you appreciate you. So, and when you do that, it's gonna be misinterpretations, misunderstandings. You know, because we all feel important. Like I should, I want to feel good just like the next person. But I had to realize I'm responsible for that. Like I'm responsible for my feelings. So I have to understand how, when, and who to interact with. Because no matter what another person does, I'm still responsible for me. So I mean, so then you start putting yourself around different, you know what I'm saying? You take yourself away from people who don't benefit you. Like that's what I was saying. Like a lot of the people I used to hang with, they still doing the same thing. Some people doing, different shit and better. It's just, you put yourself around the people you align with. I just believe in being effective and efficient. So doing that is like I just definitely just put myself around people who I'm aligned with.
I think I pinned the link. I'm not sure. Did it work, guys? Because you posted it, but you didn't pin it. Or were you wanting not? Is it open panel?
Yeah, it's open. I thought I pinned
Okay.
it.
No, it wasn't pinned.
What is that?
But me starring it right now, I reposted it and then I think I pinned it.
I just pinned it. You have to go into the app to pin it.
Oh,
You
okay.
can't. That I don't know. StreamYard is not integrated. I don't know the other ones, but I know when I go on. Damn, what's the other one I stream from? I can't remember right now. But yeah, the other one, the chat be on the side, like the actual live chat. You can do more with what is the name of it? Now I'm going crazy.
Restream?
OBS.
OBS?
Yeah, when I do OBS, it'd be like the actual chat from the YouTube app be on the side. Like I can put it over there. Like I can do so much with OBS. I think I want to wait. When I go downstairs, I got a dual monitor. So I think that'd be better, like for the OBS. The only thing is that's going to be in my office, and that's not, because like outside of the office is a little area where I got a bar, and I wanted to make that like my studio area. I wanted to make that like my studio area because I got a camera. I got it mounted to the ceiling, so. But then I'm gonna be on my laptop. I'm not gonna be at the dual monitor. So in the office it's kind of little cramped. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. Oh, so this was the idea. You remember the other night when we was talking and I was like, I'm gonna do a live on how to detach. I forgot what we was talking about. What was
No.
we
Was I there? I don't know.
We was talking
Well,
about
to detach? Oh, I think so. Yeah. To detach, like, from things, people, emotions, or like
yeah,
like
like I think
like
we was
how
talking
to
about
separate.
yeah, I think I was talking about suffering inevitable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I was gonna do it live and make the little visuals for it so we can like talk about different ways to detach. But like I was saying, some things you can't you got to go through. You know, like
Right?
you can't you actually got to go through it instead of trying to.
But when do you know that though?
Um, for me personally, I detach to process, right? To process it. That's why I detach. Um, to process it. But it's things like in life that's just unavoidable, like a death. You know what I'm saying? Some things you until you process it,
Mm.
you'll never be over it. So that when you bury things, it may go away for 10, 15, even 20 years, but when it resurfaces, it's gonna hit harder than it did initially. It's gonna have a bigger impact too in your life. You know, so I just
Yeah.
always felt like you have to process things, but detachment is a good tool to be able to process it because the initial, like especially like when it's emotional, most things are emotional. But when it's like that, you have to detach from it or get away from it to understand how to go through it or how to get over it. You know, because some things, you know, you just be too emotionally charged and you go into that mind state versus the mindset. And you might dig a deeper hole.
I think Melanie's in the back chat. I'm not sure if it's her. It looks like the
Oh, my bad.
box.
My
But I mean, I
bad.
could bring her up, but I
Yeah.
don't know if that's really her.
Yeah. Like, so you on your phone. Well,
Let's
go
put a
ahead.
banner. Okay.
Don't worry, I don't got
Hi.
anybody trying to imitate me.
And we had some
I'm too
weird
unlikable.
people. We
Although
had
my
some weird.
name, that's an inside joke from another stream, so
Yeah, the
forgive me
name threw
for
me
that.
off.
Okay. It's hard to. It doesn't show you that easily, or I don't notice it at least. But I'm ADHD.
What
Uh,
up, Melanie?
well, this is a topic that both affects me personally, but I also have a lot of thoughts about. Um, just to
How
keep it
so?
simple, just to keep it simple for now, I suffer from like chronic detachment. Particularly had a just absolute shit childhood. Not going to go into details, but just to put it simply, I detached to get through it all, and now I find it hard to be undetached. If that makes sense, detachment only really works as a way of dealing with like acute stress. Um, but when the brain does it for chronic stress, it can start to affect that person's ability to manage themselves, whether it's extraneous details in their daily life, all the way down to, for me, it's sometimes even self care stuff, which is embarrassing to admit.
And that was one of the prime reasons, you know, what I was saying, like detaching for me. I'm just saying for me personally, it's part of a process. I do that to process whatever I'm going through. You know, like I had like the issues that I had with trust. I had to really learn why I had it, and once I learned why I had it, I created like systems, if you will, for me to be able to develop trust with people. You know, I developed a system because, you know, having people real close to you try to wipe you out, that should kind of fuck with your head, right? Like now you supposed to protect me and love me, but you tried to, you know, like that'll make, like, if this person will do it, who won't do it? And I used to feel like that, so I never really trusted nobody.
It sort of sounds to me, and I don't want to make assumptions, so I'll explain what I'm thinking here, that you're talking about family, because I don't think most people would define dissociation or detachment as, um, you know, people, you can't trust people because they're drama whores, friend wise, and so that's not a big deal. But uh, speaking from personal experience, I'm definitely distrusting of authority because I was raised with probably 100 different parenting styles, all within different kind of schedules and routines. It was hard for my brain to know what was what, and and that's stressful when you can't know if the people who are supposed to take care of you are on your side or not. Is that what you were
Mm.
talking about?
Well, yeah, yeah, and then too the lifestyle I was living. Like I was out in the street,
Okay.
so it's like I didn't feel safe at home or in the street at one point. Like where I'm supposed to, feel safe at, who I'm supposed to feel safe around, because
Right.
even the people that I'm like, all my family in Pennsylvania, I'm up here with my step family, and like I said, I've been around a lot of death. So seeing people like one minute be cool, like talking, we having fun drinking, and the next minute, boom, knock somebody noodles out. Like, damn, how you feel about me? Like, like, damn, that could have been me. Like, shit, you was cooler with him than you was with. So it's like, and then you just living that lifestyle in general. It's so fast, like, and you ain't thinking about 5, 10 years from now. You thinking about hour from now. Like you thinking about like, and
Yeah.
that's giving you anxiety. You know, how you thinking of future and get anxiety. Thinking about an hour, the next hour gives you anxiety.
That's the survival. It makes it hard to even plan long term, and
Hmm.
that it's malnutrition that actually puts our brain into that state. It's not even just realizing you're there. It's a physiological process that teaches your body that you cannot rely on this food source. You have to either hoard food or you have to store fat or something that becomes maladaptive for a lot of people. Uh, in that sense. So for me, it's often I don't plan meals well. Like I don't when I buy groceries, it's kind of just like what do I eat the most and what can I keep eating but keep in like my freezer or cupboard or fridge the longest. And so I'm not planning meals. I'm not doing any of that, and you know it gets limited returns. Whereas somebody who says I want to eat salmon twice a week, blah blah blah, create a list, go to the store with that, it's a lot easier for them to do that sort of thing. And as much as I know that I could do that, it doesn't feel natural because my brain's still kind of not there yet with that level of participating in society.
Like GPT can plan your meals now.
Yeah,
It can give you a list, tell you what to buy,
I
the
need to figure out if
recipes
I have
for it.
some
Like,
metabolic issues still because there's a non-0% chance I do.
Hey, y'all
you
rock
could
out.
plan all
I just
that.
I just want to say y'all rock out. Give me 1 minute. I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Okay.
I might have to go step away for work too. Not right this moment, but can't let it go for too long.
OnlyFans calling?
No,
No, I'm just kidding.
I wish I'd be making some damn good money then. Um,
But yeah, like you could plan out meals. I mean, you could say, okay, this is my budget. What kind of meals are healthy? But obviously, if you have some sort of medical condition, you have to add that to it as well.
yeah, and I'd like to get that sorted out at least. See if not, these things can't always be easily dealt with through diet, but you can at least pick better food choices that are easier for your body to digest if you do have certain limitations or whatever. And that's I notice I have a huge problem with red meats, um, and I burn fat like I'm not supposed to have it. So there's that those are the two simple ways of putting it. But in terms of food, I still don't know necessarily like do I want a high fat diet, low fat diet? Those things can get complicated if you actually understand the body and how it tries to regulate those things and how if you do one thing it can actually lead to the other. So I want to see if there's maybe a medication for this first and just eat like a
And
normal person.
yeah, you know what I noticed? Like in America, when you go to the doctor, very rarely do they like refer you to a nutritionist. But in Mexico, they refer you right away to a nutritionist.
It might depend on your income level too. I know, like, if you have a lot of more cash to dispose of, and more of like a personal doctor or a doctor with your clientele, they might be more likely to do that. But for
Yeah,
people,
maybe.
and I'm not American, but here in Canada, it's actually kind of the same. Like, if you do end up getting a private doctor, they're the ones who are gonna, like, if you've seen the show House, like they'll investigate and they'll examine every possible option, run you through a whole array of tests.
They
We
don't
do that
do
for
that
cancer.
here.
Well, they sort of do.
Well,
They'll do it for cancer and stuff, but it's not like we don't treat all illnesses as something we need to get to the bottom to, even though most uncaught illnesses lead to lifestyle issues down the road, which then feed back into more illnesses.
they'll
So
do
it's
some of
really
like
quite
the very
sad.
most basic stuff, and
Yeah.
then if there's anything more, you have to actually like request it. You have to talk to them and request it. And then
It-
even then, like we pay for everything, so like the doctors just refer you, not even knowing if you can afford it or not, if your insurance covers it or not. They just will refer you to whatever it is, the lab or the whatever specialist,
it feels
not
that way.
knowing how much you pay.
Like, if you show up here in Ontario, Canada, with an emergency or something like a sprain, it's going to be really hard for them to detect that, and they're just going to send you home and not, like, maybe offer to wrap it up, but like there's not much they can do, right? They don't refer you to like long-term treatments or physiotherapy or anything like that. I've heard though if you are an athlete they might, but in general it's just not common practice. But if you have a broken bone, they'll keep you in there until that shit's like you're actually able to walk out the door. And I can speak from experience. I had both a broken rib and a punctured lung, and they had me like in a room within hours for one thing. Once they got the X-rays, and then I had surgery the next day to get like a tube in to actually like refill my lung. So, if you actually need, and I mean need, medical attention, they will give it to you at the emergency here. It's not like Americans think it is, where everything just
Like it takes
overloaded.
months to see a doctor.
Yeah, you show up with a heart attack and you're waiting in a hallway. Like, sometimes there are people who show up and say they're having a heart attack, and then that person has a record of showing up, claiming to be going through something, so they sit that person in the hallway. But I guarantee you, if you're actually showing signs of having a heart attack, they don't take that stuff lightly.
Some people will go to the emergency room because they think, well, or they know they've it's a long time before they can see a doctor, so they just go to the emergency room, and it's not even an emergency. But they think that they can be seen quicker and given something quicker.
Yeah, especially here with family doctors, it's such a nightmare to get a referral to a family doctor. Like, a social worker can't just give you a referral to a family doctor, which to me doesn't even make sense. You have to like reach out to ones that are actually looking for patients, and so you have to just like, it's either word of mouth or keeping your eye open for signs. And even then, like, sometimes they don't even get back to you if you leave a message or whatever. It's incredible. And when you don't take care of that side of healthcare, then you're automatically going to be overloading the emergency side, which is the side again that people really need. We also need, and like a family doctor and stuff like that, but that's more of like a long term social need, for like your overall well being. But when you go to emergency, it's supposed to be like, you need something right now.
Yeah, urgent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even urgent
Well,
care can be, maybe you need a prescription right now, but it's not, or it's not like they're deaf. With emergency, they'll say, how likely is your condition to deteriorate, right? And that's why I got in so fast, because you don't want to mess around with a punctured lung.
right. But you didn't know you just you couldn't breathe or what?
I put together the pieces a bit, and then we have like a online call thing here, and I called that. And so they were like, you need to get to a hospital, like how quickly can we get an ambulance there, kind of thing.
Oh, that's cool. You guys have like a triage nurse you can call, like a phone line.
Sort of. But yeah, exactly. They would essentially, like, if you're unsure, because I was kind of like, if it's just a broken rib, could this get better? But then I actually described, like, okay, they asked, is one side of your, you know, chest inflating and deflating when you breathe? I was like, oh wait, no, it's not. So then that's when it kicked in for me, like, oh, the lung is maybe an issue. So yeah, that was, you know, it's good to know that when you need that, you can get it. It really is. As stressful as that experience was, I can only imagine, you know, being in debt for it or something. That would be just ridiculous.
Yeah, we get charged if we go to like an emergency room. It's like a couple $1,000s at least. And then, but we have urgent care. If you don't have insurance, you can pay $50 or $150 for like an urgent care. You know, not an emergency
It's
room.
inhumane. It's inhumane. It's that simple.
But in Mexico, you can go see like the best of the best hospital like doctors there for like $60. And they refer you to all the things like nutritionists. I feel like they refer everybody to nutritionists. But it's like $60. And then like the cheap ones, $10, $20 in Mexico. So I mean they have like medical care for people that, you know, are low income. That's free. And then they have like if you can pay for it. It's not that much money, but I know that their income is a lot lower. So maybe for them $20, $60 is like a lot.
Yeah, it's complicated for sure. And to that end, so I'm not going to say that like there are easy answers in healthcare. Even when I say Canada's healthcare system is just better, like all I'm saying is that it's more humane. Like it still has plenty of issues. Don't get me wrong. One of them being like what you said, like if you show up with a sprained knee, to make sure it's not a break, they don't then say, okay, we're going to refer you to a physiotherapist to make sure that you don't have a long-term injury that then, like, for example, talking about systemic injustice, you know, now you have a sprained knee, now you can't do the work you used to do, now you lose your house or your apartment and shit like that, now you're homeless. Well, that's not good for your health. And this is why we're kind of seeing this explode from the back end, like tent cities and stuff like that, because we haven't factored for this. We haven't considered that side of socialized healthcare here in Canada and how we create victims of social injustice. I know a lot of people, like Crohn's disease is something that like we recognize it here and we try to help people, but it's clearly like a lot of the better treatments they pay for here. And I've heard of people who have, I'm just going to say, gone out in a fiery blaze over that. And that's sad to hear. That really is. And that actually tore up. I heard about this through that guy's daughter. And she also had a tragic end. Not in the same vein, but still quite
With Crohn's disease?
Not with Crohn's. Not in the same vein and not self-deletion. But she didn't make it as well. And she died at a very young age. And it's all cyclical. There's a philosophy called necropolitics by Kylian Mbaye, and I'm not saying this explains everything, but in terms of how we're handling human health, for sure. Even the better places are struggling to deal with addiction because of the social stigma and the fact that the real solution is things like safe injection sites. But every time that you have an overdose there, then people say, oh, I guess it's not working. When that's not the case. Like, you still have fewer people on the streets overdosing, which is just 10 times worse, unless everyone's carrying God, I can't think of the name.
Narcan,
yeah. Which I don't do because I have severe anxiety of approaching people if I can't predict what they're about to do. So I'm not the right person to do that sort of thing. But, and I would if I could. I just know myself well enough to know that, you know, I'd much rather go find someone who could do something than be in that situation. But
we have places where you can get free Narcan, but then also like if you get it through your insurance, they charge for it. But there's places you can go and get free.
Yeah, and that's
Narcan.
always good. That's like a community level support that just gets totally overlooked by neoliberal policies and stuff like that. And it, again, like, nobody talks about who this is killing, and stuff like that. Um, like I know so many people who have died as a result of these things, as a result of like getting a serious injury and not getting the full kind of recovery treatment for it, and then they're out of work, they become an alcoholic, and then they're no longer with us. So um, the closer you get to the streets, from what I've seen, the more this becomes the common theme. Maybe not so much in suburbia, but definitely like on the streets. Anyways, I have to go do some work, but I'll be listening and maybe periodically join back in.
The next
All
time you
right,
come up, I
take
want
it easy.
to ask a couple questions. But yeah.
Oh, if you have a couple questions, I can do them quickly, but I need to stay on task.
So when you said a solution for the addiction, you're talking about a specific problem or issue or addiction in whole. When you were saying like the sites.
Oh, I'm saying that like a lot of the things that do show better outcomes for drug addicts.
I think you're talking about like treatment facilities, like where people
Yeah.
go and get Suboxone, or like methadone clinics.
Because rehab has very mixed results, and we still need something for the people who, at the end of the day, rehab doesn't catch. And it's just objectively better than letting them deal with that alone on the streets. So, or having the cops deal with it, especially. So, my personal thing is like I get the stigma. But if you actually don't want to see this stuff happening on the streets, you have no reason, in my mind, to be against it, because it lowers their rates of fatality, lowers the risk for them specifically, lowers their need to share as well, which decreases the risk of disease. And if they overdose, there's people who are trained to deal with that within very close proximity, which isn't the case when you're doing that a lot of the times under a bridge.
See, that's the with me is the tricky part, because that's a lot of what we deal with is what um like y'all do that in Canada. I understand, like you said, it shows that you yield the best results. It's just justification for me. I mean, I understand. I see the statistics and everything, but it was it's just I know some people you can help, but some people you can't. And when it comes to addicts, like I said, it's tricky because you don't want to watch these people go through these things, but at the same time, unless they ready, then and just dedicating a segment of our society to deal with that shoot, or even a larger part. I mean, everybody got their own calling, so, but I mean, I can't. I mean, I can't focus too much on. I don't know. I know it
Well, those are
sounds
like
hard.
those are like a band-aid, right? Those clinics are like just putting a band-aid on it.
Yeah, like you got like I mean, is when it comes to addiction, I know a lot of people who fought their addiction. Like that's where I learned the whole concept. Like, it's only two type of addicts: an active addict and a recovering addict. But once an addict, always an addict. I learned that from addicts, and even dealing with my own addictions. I wasn't addicted to like drugs and I was addicted to violence, and that was kind of an addiction. There's different forms of addiction. But even like when they say once an addict, always an addict, even in my it's like you still, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
I disagree, by the way. Like, first of all, one of the biggest qualities of an addict is that, like, they overcome their urge to do the thing, right? And so there's definitely a point, and you can't always draw a clean line, but there's a point where they can be around that thing and just be like, there's no chance in hell I want to do that. I just kind of, if anything, want to get out of here so I can stop thinking about this. And I wouldn't say that they're an addict any longer. Also, I'll point out, like, you can say that these are band-aid solutions. I would say that they increase accessibility, which actually goes to what you were saying about, like, if they want help or not. which I kind of agree with you, but I also think like if you just take that to be like, okay, we've offered you your services, now all of you that are dying on the streets, it's your fault. No, that's not true. Like again, a lot of these people's stories are legacies of systemic injustices, and to just say like, oh well, then it's your choice. Like most people don't choose to be a victim of systemic injustice. Most people, can't speak for everybody, but and so then to just write that off would then itself be another injustice. So I think we have to make these as accessible as possible. And I think it's about outreach. I think it's about giving them things like a social insurance number, ID, and stuff like that. That's often overlooked in these things. Um, Here in my city, they had groups of people who would actually walk around, hand out food and water and stuff like that. And I only wish that it was um, kind of more engaged with the people that they worked with, like getting their numbers, calling them every day to see what's up, like having a worker for each person. But we can hardly get enough workers for like the people who are in housing in the city, because you know getting people to actually get into social work is difficult in the first place as well. So there's
You know, a lot of them don't. Okay, I've dealt with a lot of them. They don't even want to be tracked. They don't want you calling them. They don't want. It's like they want their anonymity almost. Like they don't really want to be bothered, other than to take whatever benefit you're offering them
right, but
because
that
of
can
their immediate need.
I think a lot of people say that, especially when they're high on the drug, but when they're hitting rock bottom, then how likely they are to seek help depends on how
Yeah,
close that help is. Because
yeah.
I know,
Maybe the
Right.
ones that are willing, right?
yeah, because I
And
can,
see that's what I'm saying. Like the dynamic. Like I understand. Like just dealing like 4 years straight. Dealing with addiction and like what you saying, getting them IDs. We have a program. Like when people, and a lot of times we catch them coming out the hospital, or we get a call of them coming out of jail. And what we do is get them back on their feet, get them back on, get their ID or driver's license, whatever they're eligible for. Sometimes they was eligible for government assistance. We get them on that. We help them find a temporary home, and we put them in programs like like skill building programs. So I'm talking about I did this for
that's
4 years
beautiful, the
straight,
word.
and this is a non-profit. I wasn't even getting paid for it. I was just using my connection. And my dad was actually a director in a rehab clinic,
I
and
don't
this was
want to
like
cut
a
you off,
program.
but I
Uh
do have to break away. And I just wanted to wrap it up by saying one more thing to point something out. With all those things you mentioned, I've been through similar programs as well, not when I was homeless specifically. And one of the major problems is like if you start to sign up for it, they maybe might call you once or twice, but if for whatever reason you don't pick up and you don't return their calls, you basically don't exist to them anymore. And this goes back to where the problem with the people who want help will actually get it. That logic lies, because we need something that's insistent. And I know you said that they don't like that, but at the end of the day, like they're not supposed to be addicts. So if we're harassing them to help them improve, I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. Now, obviously, if somebody starts getting violent or whatever, then just leave them alone. We're not going to, we have to be humans about this. But I think, most people, when they actually need that help, will end up appreciating that insistence at the end of the day. Where right now, I feel because of my anxiety, I get thrown under the bus a lot for not being able to make appointments. And that problem is getting out of control with like how they just don't reach out to even see if I'm okay. I it's become very like the system itself has become detached from humanity as far as I can see it.
Yeah, they have to care, right? Because if it's just a job, then they're just going through the motions and
Yeah,
not
okay,
really. They
I'm
have to
going now.
care.
Sorry about
All right, take it easy, Melanie. She got to go.
See, that's the tricky part about it too, because it's like a lot of that you take home with you, man. You can say you're not supposed to, or But when you dealing with people like that, you take some of that home with you, man. And when it's not really taking care of this, you going through all this stuff for you, and you not able to take care of your family, in a way where it's justifiable, in my opinion, then it becomes the job. That's what a lot of these. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of issues where people need other people. Like we think about this in life, we always need other people for different things. But imagine, I'm trying not to sound crazy or sound like an asshole when I say this, but the more people we focus on who put themselves in situations, or not even put themselves, but just even born into unfortunate situations, when we begin to focus more on them than the people who actually can, do something, we tend to, I don't even know how to say it in a way where it don't sound asshole. But this is what I always say when you're dealing with people with addiction. You can't help them unless they want to be helped. So you have to be
Yeah.
smart with the resources and the energy you expend in people. You can't just treat everyone the same in that situation because everyone's not the same. You tend
Yeah.
to neglect what happens in those situations a lot. You tend to neglect the people that you can help and can eventually be an asset and help other people. You neglect them because these people need so much time and so much energy, but they're not ready. For all that time is wasted when we could have been advancing someone else. I had to learn that. And it sounds messed up, but it's reality. Like not even on the addiction level. Just think about somebody in your life who you was trying to help and
Right.
it never worked. And then eventually when they was ready to listen or take your advice or do what you said, it worked out. And you're like, damn, it took 2 years, but finally. But imagine if all that time, resources, energy you put into that person doing that, if you put it into yourself or someone else who was ready. And then when they was ready, now you can help. 'Cause that's the only time it's gonna work.
Yeah, you can't want it
But
more than they do.
yeah. And dealing with addicts, all addicts are different, there's different levels of addiction even. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying, like the dynamic. And once you're an addict, you always an addict. That's just, I mean, you ask any addict that they
I
will
know
tell you
that
that
for
they
sure.
recover.
Once you're an
Yeah, they
addict, always
recover.
an addict.
There's always an addict. There's always that potential, especially on harder substances. Even if you change, if you slip or trip, you might relapse
All it
right back
takes is
into that.
like one little mental, I mean, it depends on where you're at, but it could take one little mental break, right? Because like mentally
Hmm.
they get stronger and they're able to stay off of it. But obviously, sometimes we're not always 100% mentally good, or something
Hmm.
happens that triggers you, and then you're like, you go to what you know or knew,
Hmm.
or like that
What's more
feeling that you
natural for
once
you?
had. Even though you know it's not good, right? It's not going to result in good, but it can get the better of someone and they might fall.
Or like sitting in AA meetings, which you hear a lot, would make people relapse is pain, some form of pain or resentment. Those two were the biggest things that made people backslide onto drugs because when they feel that it hurts so bad that to prevent them from hurting themselves, they get high. I
Yeah, they
heard so
want to
many
go back
people
to it.
say that. They do that. Like people use that as a tool, like getting high as a tool. Because if they high, they don't feel bad no more, and they don't think about offing themselves. But in that moment, that's how they feel. I heard people say they just want to escape that feeling, but it's always getting away from that feeling for whatever reason. Pain and resentment. Those are the two biggest ones. You hear other things.
Right. Yeah, they might one day say, fuck it. They've been
Hmm.
holding on, they've been doing good, and one day it just takes one fuck it. And then
Hmm.
they're back to it. And then they got to recover again and get back to a better place. And it's an ugly cycle, but Yeah, I do believe it. I disagree with you, Melanie.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Maybe there are some people who, because there are people that say that they're not addicted. They don't have an addictive personality. Like they only do things socially. But even that, then you got to stay away from some certain social situations.
Mhm. I'm trying to think like, oh, I don't even drink no more. I don't have no desire to drink. Nicotine, definitely addicted to. Um, yeah, other than that, not even coffee. I can go like when I say I don't want something or I'm straight, I just stop. I think the only
Yeah.
thing that I actually have to replace to stop it is nicotine. That's why I'm about to start running again.
I think it's crazy how people, like, let's say you have a friend that you know wants to stop drinking, stops drinking, and then you see people who don't even care. They're like, "Come on, let's go to the bar," or like they're.
Hmm.
It's like, bro, you know what's going on. Why are you inviting her to the bar? Like, either it's because what is it, misery loves company, or they just straight up don't even care about that person. Because if you cared about that person, you wouldn't be a bad influence.
Yeah, you want to put them in that environment. You want to be that influence, like you said. If you really care about the person, but most people think about themselves.
Yeah, like you can't just be like, oh, you can go, just don't drink, just go and have a good time. It's like, bro, you
Mhm.
have no idea. You just don't even
Mhm.
understand. Like you must
Right.
not understand. It
You
doesn't
put
work
them
like that.
all right. They fighting, overcoming something, and you putting them right in the environment for it to pop off of our. Mhm. Been tasting the motherfucker. Mhm.
Oh, Melanie's in the chat. Wait, what is the name is Nine Tails Cosmic Fox. I thought it said Nina. Oh,
Not
she a
telling with a
9.
name.
She no, I'm just kidding. She put 9.
Mhm.
She a 9. I wonder what life path number Melanie is.
Well,
I don't even know if does she believe in that. Melanie, look up what your life path number is. Come back next time and tell us. So today is venting day.
you know, Pope.
And huh?
No,
Is it a
we
cult?
ain't a cult.
Who's a cult? The 9
Well, we not a cult.
or the
We,
cosmic?
Mr. Miles was like, is it a cult? What was
What
it?
up,
The Southern.
Stoic?
So what up? Not hold on. So gonna build. Hold on, man. Let me play that
Stoic,
video,
hang
bro.
on, Stoic.
Oh shit, I'm tripping over everything. Hold on, bro. Let me. My bad, man. I did not mean to miss your super
Super
chat.
chat.
Commander did check me on that, but that night, it was kind of. I don't know where I was. I just wasn't paying attention that much.
The key word is consistency, right? Yeah, consistency is hard work. Hard work. Sometimes you just want to crash out. Sometimes you just want to crash out.
Here you go, bro. In my bathrobe, doing the thing. Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to crash out. Sometimes you just want to crash out. Sometimes you just want to crash out. The key word is consistency, right?
Keyword consistency. He said he hates attention, but he's in the spot right now. He's on the spot. He said, how do you deal with a death from someone who hasn't dealt with it? It's a blessing and a curse. And is it better to deal with death younger than older?
Hold on, what did you say? Oh, how do you
Mm,
do?
well, you know what? If you're older, then it's too bad. You just have to deal with it when it comes. But is it better younger or older? My opinion,
Yeah,
younger, but I don't know.
I was about to say, I've learned to process death a lot easier because I experienced a shit ton of it when I was younger. I think I learned how to process it a lot easier versus watching people like my wife is all new to her. Like the closest, like her grandmother died when she was younger, but she didn't really develop that relationship with her. And then all the stories she heard about her made her. Anyway, so when her parents died, you know, she didn't know how to process it because she never had to. She never went through a death of close people up until then. And that was just
I,
a couple years ago.
I think it depends too on the person that's
Yeah,
passed
the
away, like
person.
who that person is, what kind of
Yeah.
relationship, what it is to you.
Now, moving
Yeah.
forward, I bet it would be a lot easier now because you know lost two closest people, mom and dad. So for me, moving forward, I think it'd be a lot easier for her to process it now. And then it depends what you got around you too. It's not only you. You got a good support system. Like with me and my wife, she ain't going through it alone. So
But it's like
I
different to
mean,
lose a friend versus you lose a child versus you lose a spouse or a
yeah,
parent. Like all those are different, and then they can come
yeah,
at different times in your life. So I think each one is going to be different.
yeah. It's love is true. Even death is love is true, right?
Yeah,
Even
how
death
they
is
passed
love is
away.
true. Yeah.
Like some people
There's so
say that the
many.
hardest is the unexpected. People that
Hmm.
die unexpectedly in a car crash or whatever it is. Like they say those are harder.
Man, look, my neighbors, they clowning, right? They was uh they was in Lamborghinis and uh these two dudes rode a motorcycle. Yesterday one of them had a Lamborghini, another one had a Challenger. And now one got a Ducati and one I don't know what the other bike was. But I'm
Oh, that's
looking
that
like y'all,
noise?
yeah, like man, y'all young, dumb, and full of it. But do y'all thing, man. Live y'all like they like the toys. They Middle Easterns, they love spending money on toys. But they
I've seen
cool as hell.
2 motorcycle deaths in just this
Mm.
month.
Yeah, when I was younger, I seen somebody get decapitated twice on a motorcycle. Twice. One, I was in a car and it happened right in front of me. The other time, I seen the accident, but the fucking helmet rolled not too far. When I seen the helmet roll, we thought, his helmet got knocked off. And as we walking, his fucking head is in the helmet. Like, holy shit.
Oh, poor baby.
Mm.
It's terrible, terrible. I seen a guy, his whole body exploded, got hit by a train, but he wanted to get hit by a
Oh,
train. I never knew that. Like, you get hit by a train going that fast,
oh
your
yeah,
body
he's flat.
explodes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I said
And
that
he
right now.
wanted,
I just got nauseous.
he wanted, mhm. He wanted his existence to disappear.
It's
That shit
terrible.
crazy, bro. It's
Yeah, it's
fucked up
terrible.
ways to go. So when you go peacefully, I guess you lucky. Cause if people be going fucked up, man. Like my wife, like I said, her timeline, I'd be like, man, stop telling me shit on your timeline on social media. I don't want to hear that shit. I'm telling you, that should be something like Final Destination. Like, who
My
gets
husband says
impaled
the
by a
same thing.
beach umbrella? Like, somebody got impaled by a lifeguard. Like, how you get impaled by a beach? How you fall in a volcano? How you do shit like
My
that?
husband's like, don't tell me. I'm like, okay, well, why don't you want to hear it? He's like, because I want to live in peace. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
I
See, a
don't even be
man's
thinking about
mind,
that.
look, a man's mind, look, we be thinking about how to fix this, how to do this, how to make this better. And then y'all come with the, and guess what happened? Godzilla came and bit somebody. Like, I don't want to know no big ass dinosaurs on the face of the earth. Let me live in peace. I don't want to hear no shit like that.
Oh
My wife
yeah,
like,
Melanie.
my wife like, China got some invisible drones. They probably over us right now. That's what I'm like. I don't care about that shit.
They're probably over us right now. There was some lady, I think yesterday or the day before in Houston, this older black lady was sitting, some YouTubers were streaming it, that she was sitting in the middle of the freeway, and they had a clip of where she was driving and then she just swerved left. Like she was on the, I think the third lane, and she just swerved left. So I don't know if she had a medical condition, but like she swerved left. I think she was trying to delete herself because she swerved left. This looked like a truck smashed into her. She still survived that, got out of the car, and then just straight up sat in the middle of the freeway. And then
Oh
she had
man,
a
he was in
she
shock,
had a
huh?
weapon. Yeah, she had a weapon.
Oh,
So she basically
uh,
stopped the whole freeway, and then like there was officers all around trying to like talk her down.
he lucky.
So
I
she
couldn't have
had
been
plan
in
A and
the.
plan B.
If she was sitting there on the street pointing the gun as I'm coming, I would have hit the gas. I'm just playing that joke.
Well, I think it took hours and hours and hours, and they finally got her to surrender. But poor lady, who knows
Mhm.
what she was going through.
Going through it. You don't know what people. That's why I don't be bothering nobody, man. You don't know what nobody's going through. I remember this one day. It was this dude, this old black buff dude used to rollerblade, right? And he used to always had a stick with him, like a thick stick from a tree. And he'd be on his rollerblade just going. Nobody knew this motherfucker knew kung fu. These young dumb, it was three dudes was fucking with him one day. He went into the store and they was fucking with him in the store. When he got outside, he would put his headphones on and the dude grabbed his shoulder. Man, he turned with that. Man, he hit three dudes at least 20 times in less than a minute.
With
And
like
I'm
a
sitting there
branch?
like, what the? Yeah, like what the fuck just happened? And it was so fluid, like boop 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 boop. It was like a kung fu movie. He fucked them up. And he had a tape player. It wasn't even a CD player. It wasn't an MP3. And this wasn't. This was probably like 2000, like 17, probably about 2017. He had a tape player, and he put his shit on it and started riding, rollerblading. But I'm looking like this dude about 6'4". He buff. He older, and he out here work. You better leave that dude alone carrying the stick. He ain't
He's
bothering
just minding
nobody.
his own business.
Yeah, he was cool as hell. I used to buy him Gatorade. Like, you want Gatorade? Bro? He's like, no, give me a water. I give you Gatorade. You need your electrolyte. So he called me electrolyte. That was my nickname. He used to always tell me he needed an electrolyte because he sweat.
Okay, some people are asking. Okay, Stoics asking, what is community? Hold on, I have to go up. What is community and how can community help society? And then Melanie responded, society meaning systems of social interactions as well as the people who participate in them. I think community or like people helping each other, it's like less these days, like neighbors talking to each other. Like when people don't need someone, then they're not putting forth the effort. Like back in the day, people needed each other. They didn't have the internet. So I think that's why people talked to each other more and helped each other because they all had like some sort of vested interest.
That's the important part. That's why I like the tribe aspect more than community or whatever you want to use. It ain't tribe, it's family. Because the tribe is a system, people working together. Not for the betterment of one person, but for the betterment of all. when you working for one person or one thing in society, that's when it becomes an issue and people start getting abused and misused. That's why we have so many issues in society. But now because people using other people, well, abusing other people. I'm not gonna say using because using is supposed to occur, but it's still abuse part. You start abusing other people, taking advantage of other people for the
So Stoic
betterment of
says
self.
community, he says community is your environment, and how can we extend this globally? Like, I think you first start with your community. I don't think, I mean, some people can go global with it, but each
You gotta
community has to do it.
you gotta think about the level of participation. Like Missy Mine said, I want to be at 9. Since you more than welcome. You got the right personality. You know, you definitely be at 9. You know, Gary, BDB, Tay, everybody vote, but definitely a 9 to me.
I mean, globally,
But
here we are talking globally. I mean, we got Melanie from Canada. Stoic is in Australia.
Australia, yeah.
I don't know where everyone else is from, but there's only so much like you can do when
But
you're in another
you need
country.
see, you can start it there, wherever you at.
Yeah, you start
You
where
can
you're at.
start. Yeah, you can build what we building on here. That's it. Translate into real life. And that's what you do. You started there. That's why, like, if you look at different organizations, they got chapters all over the world. It's like-minded and participation, like-minded, like-hearted, and participation. And for people to participate, they got to be, they got to feel like, in my opinion, they got to feel like they getting something out of it just as much as they putting into it. I think people be more willing to participate when it's things like that.
Right, you got to start in your community. Like right now, I'm not doing really much for my community. You know, I had some things happen, but before I was helping in hospitals, homeless, like people, friends of friends, because that makes me feel good. But that's each person's decision. And then I would try to get other people to do it too. Like I would really try to peer pressure other people to come with me.
You can't change the world unless you change the people in the world. Ain't nothing wrong with the world. It's the people. And a better you is a better us, literally. But people have to want to be better.
Yeah, because
That's
you
just the
meet people
reality.
that, oh my gosh, you meet people that it's just crazy.
Like
That don't want
even
the help or they're just exhausting.
like if you notice, like remember Askero? Askero, he came on here. She uh is from the Muslim faith. We had a good conversation. It was another female Hebrew, I forgot her name, came on here. We had a good conversation. Then old boy came on here and it went left. So when you think about even exchanging beliefs, I think it's always the intention. Because like if you really think about it, if you go to work, right? Let's say you got a job, you go to work. Everybody you work with, they have different beliefs, different culture, but y'all all at work for one purpose is to get a job done. And because y'all have purpose, a lot of times that purpose is bigger than your own personal uh, beliefs when it comes to getting something
Hmm.
done. So we can work with people on common goals, but we don't have to believe in the same thing or nothing like that. But we can still get the job.
Exactly.
You do it every day at work. Now, after
Yup.
that, if you want to mingle or exchange, that's something totally different. So, how you think it's countries that work together? That's what they have trade agreements, trade deals, stuff like that. So I'm not from the school of we have to be the same to do the same. I'm not from that school.
Now, the guy that came on here the other day and he's talking about, like, I don't know, like there's different charters, right? Like they're doing things in different countries. But
Mm-hmm.
you can't, that's just not, you have to start somewhere, like Word was saying, and then grow that. You just don't start off like that. You got to grow that. But yeah, he's asking if internet is community. Yeah, internet can be community.
Yeah, internet can definitely be a community.
Community of what? I mean, that depends.
Yeah.
You got a community for everything, right?
Mhm.
Like, there's different
Community
communities.
of scrupulousness. I can't
Yep.
even say it right now. Me,
Unscrupulous.
the energy crisis. I can't do it without y'all. Yeah, but see now, like Melanie said, local problems need local solutions. Global problems need global solutions. But you got to put yourself in position. That's why, like the other day, shout out to Speak, but when Speak was on here, that's why I was like, I don't be interested in talk. Like, no offense to nobody white, I'm just not interested in talking to white people about reparation. Because to me, I mean, I understand like when people say tax dollars, but here's what people don't understand. M- Like even my heritage, and it's not just about slavery to me. It's about Jim Crow. It's about redlining. There's a lot of issues after slavery that I think people should get paid for. You know, and I have an emotional connection to that. So logical thinking, I don't care about that shit. Yeah, I'm just being honest. Like I don't care about your logic when it comes to something that I dealt with. I don't care. So that's why I think for me it's not productive for me to have conversation. I'm not saying anybody else is, but I be telling black people like, I mean, I know the shit ain't gonna happen, but because I have an emotional connection to it, I'm gonna feel some type of way about it. And if you ain't feeling that type of way, it's automatically gonna be a disagreement. I don't like logical thinking go out the window when you have emotional connections to shit. You can say all the logic you want, but no, I experienced this shit. I went through this shit. Like it's easier to say get over something. It's easy to say that. You know, think about, and I'm not attaching this to, you know, that conversation, but I'm just saying in general. If you experience something like some form of abuse, when I was younger, my stepdad, you know, he kicked my ass all the time. So I got abused by a man who wasn't my father. It don't matter if he was supposed to protect me. He even put a knife in my chest. So I feel some type of way about that. So somebody saying just get over it or it doesn't know, it don't work like that. That's the uniqueness of like the human aspect of life to me defies logic. The emotional aspect of humans like throws logic out the window. That's why I say logic doesn't trump emotion.
Well, Quail said, like, I know we're not going to get it. I don't care about it. But it's like, you don't care about it, but yet you're bringing it up to argue with people. And then you're asking people, like, what is the point? You just want to
He's weapon.
argue and
Yeah, he's
debate.
weaponized. He weaponized it, and that's what I'm saying. Like that. Like you don't hear me talking about a lot of like you don't hear me personally. I'm just being honest, and I try to be transparent, but I'm gonna be real with you too. I don't feel the need to talk about no black issues to no black people, non-black people. I don't feel like I don't see the point. I'm not trying to get nobody's sympathy or empathy. The black issues to me, black people need to handle. Now, if we amongst ourselves and we talking, then I talk about it. But other than that, I don't be interested because it becomes like when you talking to other people about something that you going through personally, not just black people, but anybody's issues. You know, anybody's issues. When it becomes a point where you trying to convince motherfuckers or you got to prove shit to people. I ain't got time to do that. Look, if I know what's wrong, you know what's wrong, you experience. Now we vibing on a certain level. Me and you can come up with a solution to that. That's why on here I talk about so like things that affect everyone.
I think if somebody is wanting to educate someone, like if their goal is for reparations and they want to talk to people to educate them to kind of like so they can see a different point of view, or like I think it's good. Otherwise, like how are you going to get through to people? But if that's not the goal, then what is the goal? To
If
argue and
if
debate and
that's what I'm saying, like when it comes to shit like that, like when it comes to stuff like that, is about how you feel and about how I feel. Even if you want to call it whatever you want to call it, is your thoughts versus my thoughts. Now, if you go sit and listen to my thoughts and intake that, then that's one thing. But if we try to convince one another, then it becomes, like you said, a debate. And a lot of times, that's what happens. Like when people, like, I had to sit and listen to a white guy explain how he felt when people associated him to things that he had no control of or wasn't involved. And like his whole life, he was in the stick. His whole life, he been told about what white people did to these people. He was talking about like even the Italians, what white Americans did to them. The black people, the Mexicans, Chinese, like everybody constantly told him what white people did to them, and that's why he bad. And I'm like, damn, that shit kind of fucked up. You know what I'm saying? That's his experience, though. I would never experience that because I'm not white. I don't know how that feel. I know how it feel when people just think you fucked up because you black. I know how that shit feels, but I didn't know how he felt.
right,
And that shit do different things to different people. So
right.
understood don't have to be explained. Yes, I think putting all of the burden on yourself and you misguided with it, why solutions to problems have to start at the community level. Yeah, I would even say the home level. That shit got to start in the crib.
But wait, what's understood doesn't have to be explained. Okay, but what does that mean? Like, what does that really mean?
Like when you know
Because if you don't
something,
understand, like, yeah, if you know it, obviously you know it. But if I don't know it, then I don't know it. It's not understood to me, right? Like I had to hear a lot of people, a lot of different. I've heard people on different channels, different discussions. So it gave me a little more insight. Like it gave me more insight. So like with the information I've gathered, I make my own uh, decision, opinion, or whatever. What I would do if it were to come on my table and how I would vote. But not everybody is exposed to it, or not everyone's seeking it, so it's not understood to everyone.
let's see, like I like even with that, I just don't like. I don't even feel like that should have went. I mean, it should be up for a vote. Period. If you'll do it, do it. If you're not, then
Yeah,
you're not.
that's
You
true
know,
too.
that's
I'm
just
just
how I
saying, if
feel
it
about
were
it.
to come as a vote,
If it
we
were to
don't even
come,
get to vote on all this stuff. Like what they do with the money that we pay into, like we don't even hardly ever get any kind of decision choice,
all,
right?
all that money they sent over to Israel, all the money they sent over to Ukraine, like we don't get to vote on that. They
Yeah, we
just
don't get
send
to vote on that. But I mean, I'm for reparations. But as a person as a non-black person, that never occurred to me. I'm not thinking about reparations. I'm not knowing about reparations. Right? So if it had never come to my attention, I probably wouldn't even think about it. But it came to my attention and I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and then I started thinking about it. And then as I start thinking about it, I'm like, "Oh, okay. My family back in the day got reparations." I didn't know what the word reparations was. I don't know if that's what they called it, but I had to think about it. It had to come to me then to think about it and process it. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know. Like how many non-black people are walking around don't even know that? Yeah, it's in the media. You got to be maybe subjected to parts of the media where people are talking about it. But I bet you if I ask people in my neighborhood, they probably won't even know that that's even a thought.
Man, it's so much that people don't know about. Like even my wife, like she's very inquisitive, which I appreciate. You know, but just explaining to her certain, dynamics and why things are the way they are. Um, a lot of people just they go through life naive, not understanding, you know, not understanding what really occurs or what's really going on.
Yeah,
People,
because
they just,
it doesn't affect
they,
them, or
yes,
they don't even know. Maybe it might be affecting them, but they don't even know
they're not
how
aware
it's
of
yeah, they're
how it's
not
affecting
aware.
them. Yeah. They ain't aware how, like a lot of stuff, like my wife be playing about. I'm like, man, we've been through this. I've been going through this shit since I was born. We didn't figure like if people like you hear me reference Neely Fuller, right? I'm I apply Neely Fuller's teachings to my life. That's why you don't hear me complaining about white supremacy. It's like it's a playbook out there, y'all. Go check out Neely Fuller. Go check out that Dr. Francis Chris Weasley. You'll understand, like, like man, it's like once you um knowledge is power, man. Once you're aware of certain things, you understand how you participate in, and then once you understand you participate in something, you know how to take yourself out of it or minimize the effects of it. You'll learn how to minimize.
Mhm.
So this, those two, these people dedicated their life, fighting or identifying and creating countermeasures to white supremacy. Like they dedicated their life to that. So you're studying their works. It's other scholars out there who, so like even when I hear people say, "Oh, this doesn't exist," that's why you don't never hear me say nothing. 'Cause I already know what time it is. Like, yeah, it don't exist because it don't affect you. But this is something real. It's systemic. Like the shit is deep. But
Right.
I'm not
Some
about to
people won't
sit here and
accept it,
argue with. Yeah, I ain't about to
even
sit
when you
here and
give
argue
them
with.
like, even if you give them all
Yeah.
the information, like just some people just will not accept it.
They won't accept it. That's why I'm like, I ain't about to sit up here. That's part of it right there. That's like gaslighting. You sitting here and telling me this shit ain't don't exist. You fucking gaslighting me, bro. I ain't about to sit here and play with you. Like I ain't about to play with you. I ain't about to play these
It's
games.
not
I'm
worth it.
straight. It's not worth it because I already know what's happening. That's why I tell people just keep living, man. And it's like, man, I'm a true strategist. I promise. I'm very methodical of like how I interact, especially how I interact with people. Like I've been studying people since I've been 11. So it's just certain things. Sometimes I, indulge, and sometimes I'll be like, nah, I ain't doing it. But
There's some black people that won't interact with me, and then there's some that will.
to
But it's the
me,
same for all, right? All cultures are all
it's
like
gonna
it's
be like that. That's a human thing. It's gonna be
yeah,
some Mexican people who ain't gonna like me. It's gonna be some Mexican people who love me. There's gonna be some white people who hate me. It's gonna be some white people who love me. There's gonna be some black people who love me. It's gonna be some black people who hate me. That's just the human thing. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, that's all it is. Hate is human. Everybody has the potential to
yeah.
hate. Every fucking body has the potential to hate. That's just a human characteristic, a human trait, if you will.
Well,
So,
there's some black people that have distrust, right, in white people or non-black people. But then the same thing, like there could be white people that have distrust too.
Well, shit, I know some white people. They see me put my hood on. They don't trust me, even though they're my neighbors. They cool with, but
But it's like, man, I
it's
wish
gonna
like,
be this.
yeah, I don't know,
It's
cause
just a
like
human thing.
it's a
That's,
human thing. Like
yeah,
okay, that
that's
person doesn't
different.
know that I don't have bad intentions. Like I have no bad intentions, but they're gonna be weary of me. But I mean, the same
Mhm.
goes to back and forth with people. But you know what? Maybe this is off topic, but I've been curious about this because when I see Pop the Balloon and what's the other one? Even Kendra G, like those, whenever it's a light skinned black man, it's like they pass him up. Why don't they like light skinned black men? I don't
Mhm.
know. Like this is my opinion, or like because I sit and think like, I mean I don't sit for hours and think about this, but I think like why? Like, is it because they have features that are more white, Caucasian, and then there's a
Mhm.
distrust there? Like,
It- It's not even that.
what is it?
It's always been like a colorism issue, and that's even that. Studying that. That's in every. It's always um like this. Dark skinned women didn't like me. It was always the light skinned women who liked me. It wasn't never the dark skinned women. And my homeboy was opposite. It was always he was light skinned. It was always the dark skinned women who liked him, and none of the light skinned women liked him. So I think things are personified a lot
On
due
social media?
to yeah, because like growing up, it was always light skin was in. It was like light
Wait,
skin is
what?
in. That's the thing in black community, light skin in, and now I guess it's dark skin brothers are saying, but it went back and forth, But that's just
Oh,
perception.
okay. So like dark skin's trending, light skin's
Yeah,
trending.
yeah, that was
Well,
so
right
white.
now light skin is not trending according to what I see on
Ah,
social
Drake,
media.
Drake fucked it up. Kendrick Lamar, Kendrick Lamar. Drake said light skinned people back 20 years. That's one. Oh, that's a joke. That's another joke. I'm joking.
It might be. Who knows?
But you get in is I didn't heard conversations about colorism, But then it's like I got this one friend. If you look at her, you'll think she black. She ain't got no black people in her family and she Japanese. She ain't got no black people in her lineage. Her family is from lower Japan. There's darker people there, but they way up. There's a lot. See, them Asian countries be having classes, like classes of people, like especially in like India. That shit crazy. They got a caste system. Like you go over there and see that shit. That shit was wild. Like you can never move up. Like if you born in this class, you die in that
Like
class.
that's it.
Like what the fuck? Like this shit
Like that's it.
crazy.
You were
That's what
born this, yeah, wow.
and look, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. When you get to traveling around and you see how other people live, you start appreciating some of the shit you go through. Like, okay, I deal with this shit because it ain't like that. It ain't that bad, It might not be right, but it ain't that. Like that shit over there, crazy. Mm-mm. Like shit,
Yeah,
there women
colorism's all over.
like when they talk about women's rights here in America, I'll be like, shit, don't take your ass to the Middle East. Talking about some women's right. They throw acid on your face and crazy shit like that,
That's
and don't do no
sad.
time. Don't do nothing. I mean, they get man.
Horrific.
It was this prominent diplomatic. I don't know what the father did, but I know the son owned a chain of restaurants here, and the father had diplomatic immunity. Well, the daughter started dating this black dude. He off the daughter, and they only thing they did was send them back home. Like he got away with that shit, offing his own kid because
Yeah.
that's legal, and for what she did was legal in this country.
I'm grateful to be in America. But I also think that,
It could be better.
yeah, because like sometimes I see like how some of the people live, like in Mexico, and they're not as stressed. They may not have as much, but they live more peaceful, less stressed. They have vacation time. They just, I don't know.
Hey, look,
I've,
I learned this too in life. The less you got, the less you worry about, man. The less you got, the less you worry about. You know that shit traveling too. Like a lot of people are peaceful because they ain't got to worry about a lot of this shit, social status. None of that shit matter, man. They just living life, man.
they're like sitting on their porch having a beer, whatever, like
Yeah,
chilling.
sure.
Yeah, some parts of Mexico they still do where everything shuts down. They have
Hmm.
like their siesta and everything shuts down in the middle of the day. And then they have something where they give bonuses to people, and then you could take a whole month off for the holidays. Whole month off. In America, you get what, like a week or two total per year. Depends on, your job or your career, but I don't know. Sometimes I wish, and there's other people that I've heard say that, like, they just want to go back to their country because they
Yeah,
thought it was going to be this way in America, and it's completely different from what they thought.
culture shock. Like even moving from like the backwoods to the city, that shit was a culture shock. Like when you come from a community and you go into an environment where it's survival of the fittest. That's basically what it is. Man, this is survival of the fittest. And if you weak, you might get ate. There's a high possibility you become food.
Well, the thing that people
Welcome to the
notice,
jungle.
like, right, it depends on where they live, but they notice like there's not as many people on the street. Like back in their country, there's a lot of people out on the street. Like
Mhm.
there's more community, people
You
helping
can
each
talk to
other
people.
out. Could talk to
You go down,
people.
like you go down south, you can say hi to anybody. Up north, you can't do that. Yeah. You say hi to the wrong person, you gonna get drugged at. Just saying hi, man, being polite.
There's places in the Midwest where everybody just waves at each other, and they don't even lock their doors at night. Like they leave their doors open all day, and if it's snowing and they stop at the store, they leave their car running.
I can do that in my community. I can do all that here.
Yeah, see, there's parts of America, so it just depends.
Yeah, like even the stores, the dude who owned the store, he lived right up the street from me. Up the street on the corner. Dude who owned the store right there. People who own stuff in this community of this, so their money float.
Well, yeah, and
That's
then
why.
uh-huh.
That's why I'm be honest. That's why I like living around mixed cultures because when they have businesses, that should be right there
Like
in their
you can
community.
literally
Yeah.
have an open tab because they know you're
Hmm.
in the community, and then you can have an open tab at the store. I know there's places like that in America, but in Mexico for sure I've seen it where, oh yeah, I'll pay you on the first when I get paid or whatever. Like you literally have a tab open.
And it'd be
Not where
nice to
I
have
live.
something like that. But see, it's and I think it's in West Virginia. My sister, cause she got invited to actually move into this community. Um, is an all black community, and they got their own stores. It's a real like town. They built it, and there's a couple places like that I didn't even know. Pockets, like when I be hearing black people online talk about we need to do like, bro, that shit exists. They just don't accept everybody in that bit. They got their own gas station. They got a tailor. And all that money they make. Some people go outside of there to work at like hospitals and stuff, but the money they spend is circulated back into the community.
It's called the Amish community. No, I'm just kidding. But look at the Amish.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't want to be Amish, but yeah, they got their own little community going. They're strict though, right?
Like, ain't nothing wrong with that. Shit, we really strict when you think about it, like the laws and stuff. But you need that. You have to, like, man. If you don't give people boundaries and standards, they become unscrupulous. That's what people, some people need religion. Some people depend on culture to establish that um, self discipline. Because humans are creative. We be doing crazy shit. Like we have an idea, like we need to breed these animals together. And we start creating monstrosities. Or we need to. What if I put this chemical and this chemical together? Or what if I make something that can just wipe out the planet? Like people need boundaries. It'd be crazy.
Fly Swatter said in Houston you can't do that. Yeah, definitely not in Houston. And then Melanie is asking the word, are you also tragically indifferent to the funding of HBCUs? Still not even number 3.
um, I don't. Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really. I didn't go to an HBCU. Is out of my control. Whatever happened to them, so I don't even be thinking about that shit. I ain't like what is my this is how I am in life. Unless my opinion really truly has an impact on something, I don't really care. I really don't. I don't. I mean, if it don't affect me, it don't affect me. I understand that concept, like if it, but I can only control what I can control. So if I can make an impact on something, that's what I make an impact on. But a lot of these things is like that's why people be having like depression and anxiety. They're worried about things they can't control. Like I like practicing Buddhism. I practiced Buddhism for 2 years, and that gave me so much clarity on life because Buddhism teaches you to be in the present, right? And like even thinking about something like what a HBCU is going through, not only can I do something about it in the present, but I ain't gonna be able to do nothing about it in the future. But if that's my focus, right? If that's my focus, then that's my issue. But that's not like for me, that's not my focus.
Yeah, if you have a focus and a passion, just like the
Yeah,
Israelite
like
brother that came on the panel, his passion and focus is
to
his
recruit motherfuckers.
Israelites, his community and recruitment and
It
whatever
just
else
sounds like
goes
a
with that.
pyramid scheme.
It's like his life mission right now. He's what is he 27 years old? His life
Yeah,
mission
three
right now.
degrees from Harvard. He got 3 degrees from Harvard, or he was going to Harvard with three. I don't know, whatever.
He said he had 3 degrees, he's traveled, his passport, but like all the stuff he was saying, which is wonderful, right? If he can make like, well, not only him but him and his community make an impact that's positive within his community, and that's great. I just don't like the promoting hate and division
Yeah,
and that thing. That part I don't like, but if it makes, his situation better, well, great. That's great for him.
like
If it makes his
and
life
and
better.
see, and see like Mel and see like what you saying too. Like so, like my sister, right? That's what she do. You know what I'm saying? She fight systematic racism and well, within school system. That's what she do. So like I sit back and listen to her about it, but I don't really have an opinion about it because I mean my opinion, unless I'm gonna do something about it, I'm not even about. There's no point in me talking about it. I guess that's a better way of saying it. If I'm not gonna get up and try to make a change or something, then what's the point? That's
Yeah,
what
and
it becomes a distraction to me because there's other things. And for like what I personally focus on, like I'm building a mentor program right now, and I got some sponsors. So what I can impact with young men and young women, helping them learn emotional intelligence, building self-esteem, and building confidence. And that's what I can be impactful on. And there's some other people they trying to add different qualities, but those are three things I can do and I can focus on. So that's important to me. So like talking about that and how to do that, develop things for that, that's what I do. And anything outside of that that I can't impact is a distraction.
Yeah, don't bite off more than you can chew because it'll drive you crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And that's just what I know when I say it, it sounds like assholeish, like I don't care about nothing or I don't care about this happening, but that should make you depressed because guess what? That shit been here. Like I like when it comes to racism or any type of oppression, only thing I can do is encourage people. Um, I can't even say it like that. Like the reason I talk about self development, that's my way of fighting, oppression and all that stuff. That's just the tools that I use. Well, how would that fight oppression? In my
Yeah, that's why I
opinion,
was asking. Like, go ahead, your opinion.
so like my opinion, a lot of it starts in the mind, even when people become oppressed. You know, so helping people build self confidence and self esteem. That's the tool I use.
Like when I was asking, like, what can I do? What can we do? Like, what can I do as a person in my daily life? Like the only thing I wanted him to say something, right? Answer the question, see what he thought. But me as a person living my life, I think, okay, what can I do to help? I could be
Hmm.
kind. I can speak up when I see an injustice, when it's happening in front of me. I can speak up. I can be kind to people. Like I can try to help, right? Go beyond just being selfish because sometimes people won't speak up because it's gonna what's the word? It's gonna affect them negatively. So they just keep quiet. They don't say shit, right? That's not helping when you just let something go by, which I have before in the past, like when I was younger. But the thing is, like, you have to make that choice. Just like when you are a bystander and you see something like, and you're just gonna walk by and not help. Like when I saw that little girl that I helped, right? That I followed the guy in the car. I could have just kept driving, right? But those are choices that we have to make on a daily basis.
And to really make an impact in a lot of these things, like on a large scale, you got to put yourself in position. We like
Right.
I gotta, you know what
You're
I'm
in a
saying?
position
Like
to hire people, right? If you're in a
yeah,
position to
hire
hire
people.
people, then right, you can
Yeah,
hire whoever you want. You can
even
make that
like
decision.
when it comes to the laws or the policies, you got to put yourself in position to be a player in there, not just voting. I mean, voting is cool, but like when different policies, but like these candidates, like we're still voting. We're still making a choice versus a decision. Like even the candidates, we need these people homegrown. We need to build our own candidate.
Like your
We ain't
sister
compromise. Yeah,
running for
like
board. Okay, there's a problem
yeah,
with the school stuff. Okay, get on that board. Try everything you can to get on that board so you can be a voice on that panel of
but
people on the board.
and like she put herself in a position to actually make an impact on a large scale by going to school, becoming, getting her PhD. You know, she put herself in position, to do something about what because she was initially my sister was going to school to be a surgeon, and she got pregnant her first year at the University of Michigan. And her grade, my sister was a freaking nerd. Like like not her. She my sister is amazing, but she's
She's
just
smart.
super fucking smart for no reason. Like she just like she can read something and regurgitate that shit. Like she's like a fucking AI. But her grades were so good that they gave her, they ended up giving her a full ride. And she's seen like some issues within the process of her getting that scholarship because it took her 8 months versus 2 months like some other people. They ain't making it racist or nothing. But when she seen that, she was like, oh, okay. So now I'm about to go to school for psychology because now it made her interested in, what was it? She was, something civics, something about civics. Um, she started, she wanted to understand why people think the way they do. So she got into psychology and then she was minored in education. And then that way she was able to make an impact on, you know, like my sister, she do some bad shit.
Welcome
But
back, Mel.
she can't really talk about her job on the thing. What up, Mel?
Hi. Sorry for going off in chat. It was just I actually wound up just shadowing my boss while he did a bunch of stuff. So it was kind of nice to have something to do with my hands during that time. But yeah, so I have another 50 minutes. I actually had to put myself on a timer this time so I don't get accused of procrastinating, but and definitely don't get these privileges taken away. Um, so in terms, so like I definitely have some respect for Buddhist culture, especially the Zen thing, and I understand where you're coming from. But I also think there's a reason why you also see Buddhists who protest, and it's because they're not advocating for complacency, right? Um, I think even a Buddhist would understand that you kind of need to be in an environment that's conducive to that and isn't, for example, constantly making you fight a war. Just off the top of my head as possible examples. Um, and so I realize that I can't make you care about the things that were brought up, like historically black college universities or HBCUs, because you're your own person. You have free will. And I don't want to break you down to the analogy of being the horse that comes to the water, but making you drink. You're a human, but within the idea that analogy is at least apt. I want to point out that the water is very nice to drink, um, especially, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you did point out certain like systemic inequalities that are worth addressing before, like redlining and stuff. You just acknowledge that you alone
She
probably
cut out.
can't solve that, right? Oh, did I? Can you hear
Oh,
me?
you cut
No,
out
I
for
can
a
still hear
second. You're
you.
back.
How long
No,
was that?
no, it was straight through. Nah, she didn't cut off on my end.
Okay. But is that correct? Like you would at least acknowledge that there are some systemic inequalities facing Black people.
Well, I acknowledge everything. What is this things like is is it like I was trying to understand how can I obtain peace of mind, right? And I realized like a lot of things um that I was stressed about, a lot of things that caused me to have a lack of peace of mind came from things I couldn't control. So understanding, like I acknowledge and I'm aware of a lot of things. It just does not. I have no. Uh, you know that old phrase is what's that phrase? Um, ask for the wisdom of understanding how to. Uh,
Accept the things you can't control.
yeah, you know that phrase, and that's what I do. So like things that I have no, like I can't do anything about. I just don't worry about, and I don't have any deep thoughts on it. And that's how I maintain, my peace of mind.
See,
I guess that's the easiest way to say it. Like,
see, I think there's a lot of ego in that statement, and I'm trying to appeal to your inner Buddhist, where you're making it about whether or not you specifically can do anything. But I think this is where understanding that you are a part of a community, and that community has a collective struggle that it needs your voice and your help in, and particularly your voice because you are a content creator. um, I think you do have some control. It's a fraction of the control because you share it along the common cause. But when you know, advocate for those things rather than just accepting, like, okay, well, if it gets defunded, that's out of my control. Well, you might have people, maybe even generations you haven't met yet, that in some way you care about, even if you believe in an afterlife, who could be disaffected by that. And if your voice could have made even the smallest difference, then I think then you have to ask yourself, why does it only have to be about your voice when you can join a collective group of people who advocate for these things and are fighting to have these things?
I don't, even if you talk about like the instinctive desire, I don't think it's nothing. Have you ever played on a team,
Oh yeah.
like any type of? So like, if I'm the quarterback, right, my job is to know what everybody else is doing on the field. But if I'm the lineman, my job is to know my job, right? And if I try to do the quarterback's job or the wide receiver's job, then I'm not doing my job.
Right.
So like,
But
I'm
that's the
aware of
division
a
of
lot
labor.
of
What I would point
that.
out is that what kind of like community organizing thrives on is giving people a place for their strengths to outweigh their weaknesses. So usually giving them a purpose. If somebody's like, for example, you're pretty good at speaking. I do think you can get a better mic, but that's a side issue, and I'm not trying to make you feel bad for that criticism. Just some advice.
No, I ain't gonna feel bad for that.
But
I've been told that since I got on YouTube.
and I know of a cheap one. It's the one I use when I'm on the Furby, and I've never had issues, and I've always loved the sound quality. Not like this laptop mic, I don't like it. But and so your strength is your ability to, you know, maybe influence people. Uh, there's so many metrics for how good of an influencer you are, but I think you're at least dedicated to it, and that's the first step to any successful influencer on here who isn't at least rich. And so, you know, the movement has a place for you, whether, like, I'm not going to say every single person in the movement's going to see it that way, but I I think you're disempowering yourself. And we were talking about like Mexico with
Yeah,
the
I,
differences.
I don't want to say I don't mean to cut you off because I do.
It's okay.
I
I
just
get
think
you
you
off.
misinterpret. I think you misinterpreting, you know, because it's like everything you said. I do it in my genre, my field. You know, I do it what I'm good at. You know, and I talk about self development. You know,
Sure, sure.
trying to take on every cause. I did that when I was younger. You know, it only distracts me from what I can have an impact on. And it took me time to understand that there's a lot of plight in this world. There's a lot of things I could speak on or try to do, but what I can do, what I'm effective in, is what I do. You know, like I don't even talk about what I do off it. You know what I'm saying? But when I come on here to do what I do on here. But in real
And to
life,
be
I do what
clear,
I do in
it's
real
not
life.
just about you. This is a social issue I'm referring to, that we're becoming more engrossed in our kind of like personal narrative than having a collective narrative. And you were talking about Mexico before and how there's a bit of a difference. If you look at Mexico's like culture of protests, it's very strong. And I think that's one of the things that like communities and truly strong cultures need is a culture of protest, and one like it's not usually the part of culture that you see on TV, but it's a part that is an underlying fabric. And we're lacking that heavily in kind of North American, westernized European cultures, I find.
What would you say is the main issue of people coming together?
Well, right now,
Like you just said a key word, personalized, right? So
yeah.
like even in that aspect, like how am I gonna come together to help fix everyone's problem if I can't even fix my own? If I'm having my own problem,
Well,
you
have
know,
you?
and that's why I seen like the biggest issue in the world. Like people can't come together because they fucked up.
Well,
People ain't got it together to come together.
have you heard of the perspective that we've kind of become like hyper individualized? Our identities are sort of, commodified, repackaged, and then sold back to us, so that way we consume them, and the cycle repeats itself. And so we're kind of losing touch with like our collective kind of identities.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what's making it so hard to organize. Collective organizing should be like a form of self organization. And I was talking in your chat about ecological thinking. This is one of the principles you can glean from ecological systems is how they self organize. And it's instead of like forcing things to work, when things synthesize, when things, uh, how should I put this properly? When things add to the sum of the whole, then they tend to um, have a place automatically in the whole dynamic. Whereas when you force something in, then you force another part of the dynamic to change, stuff like that. And that's what I find our societies sort of do. Whereas in Mexico, it's very bottom up when these things happen. It's not something we expect the government to facilitate and give us like a permit to do or anything like that. They just say, no, we're pissed and we're going to go tell the government how pissed we are until they change their minds. Um, and 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 then after that, right, you have a sense of community with those people. You just fought for something, and maybe you even had a success. That can be that's a I think that's one of the strongest collective bonding experiences we have, and we currently try to fill those things with like music festivals or like all sorts of things that I can't think of at the moment, but they don't fill the void in the same way as actually having a common cause, like a collective purpose for existing. And there's also, we need to, things are becoming more virtual, so we have to do this both in the real world and the virtual world, which definitely, again, it's creating more complex problems, but I don't think they're unsolvable.
Yeah, I mean, like far as yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I just like for me, my role, what I'm good at, I focus on that,
Yeah, and
and
I don't
other
expect
people,
to
and
change you.
no, I ain't worried about that. No, but and see, that's what I'm saying. Then you link up with people who doing other things and other favors, and everybody do what they good at. And we lean on each other for that. Like the one brother was like, well, why you don't talk about finance? Why I know about these things, but it's people who do that. So I let them do what they do and I do what I do. I go support them, rock out with them. They come over and support me, rock out with me. And when they refer me to people, I refer them to people. We network. But just picking up causes that I have no um, expertise in, I have no, experience in. To me, it's a distraction from what I can have an impact on. So,
Well, I don't think I'm talking about something that necessarily requires expertise because, like, what I was trying to argue with the HBCU things, especially when I said, are you tragically just like indifferent to that? The reason that it's tragic is because HBCUs do address a lot of the systemic things that you were talking about before in their own way, but in the same way that reparations also address them in their own way and give communities the ability to, make their own, for example, community centers that allow them to bring together um, not just Black communities, but what that local community actually needs, which is sometimes even more important. Um, and and so I think this tragedy goes well beyond either. Oh, sorry, I had that muted, but it decided to not listen to me. That's very cool. So, and it's because like it's okay to say like I'm not going to fight to make this better, but you when like okay, let me ask you this: do you think we should condemn rioting? I'm sorry if this comes off as argumentative, but I'm hoping that maybe this will give some perspective.
Hell
You
yeah,
said
rioting.
condemn.
I would condemn rioting.
We'll just say like
Burning
people shouldn't
cars,
riot,
breaking
right?
into stuff.
The word
Yeah.
you would say people shouldn't riot, right?
Yeah.
I'm just giving you an easy ball because it's not a gotcha. I'm just trying to hopefully add clarity to
The
my.
question's for you, Word.
Oh yeah. I don't agree with that.
Okay, so and I'm going to go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong, but assume it's because you see it as in a general sense as like an act of violence against your community. Well, I would argue that like the funding of HBCUs or right-wing narratives that dissuade people from seeking reparations are also acts of violence on the community for the reason I just stated, because you're getting rid of things that help the community and a community that, compared to, especially when we look at these as historical legacies, one that could use more help. Just statistically and systemically speaking, not because of the people necessarily. Just
Well, is that an act of oppression? Because I mean, that's
I
not
didn't
violence,
say
right?
oppression.
It's not,
Well,
no, I
okay.
know you didn't say that. You said
Well,
they're like acts of violence.
oppression is a form of violence.
Oppression is a form of violence.
Because I think it's easy to, I'd agree with you, obviously, like breaking something that belongs to someone else, that's violence. But, some people would say that's not even violence, right? Like you'd have to actually physically harm somebody. Um,
Right.
and so we at least agree that there are non-physical forms of violence. Like I can verbally abuse you, and that's not a physical act, but that can certainly, uh, that can harm some people even, uh, especially if you do it to the wrong person. And so with the systemic things, I I look at systemic injustices as being way more violent, usually by default because of scale. But with always take that with a grain of salt and use some critical thinking skills. But usually by default, they are just more violent because first of all they lack the human element, and so they're harder to address. But also because they disempower communities and they take away the element that empowers them to, for example, organize and collectivize to fight under a common cause.
Is okay. That's interesting.
But so like even with that, right? Um, like just growing up in black community or whatever you want to call it, like just growing up black, like I was taught from a little kid, right? Like my OG, they taught me justice is just asking people for anything, you ain't gonna get it. You gotta either take it or create it. And that's just like my motto. So like even when it comes, like I understand a lot of things, and I just feel like even like I said, the teachings of Neely Fuller and Dr. French Cress Wheaton, a lot of these issues are solved by us creating our own, by doing for ourselves, and that's what I focus on. So even taking these young kids, like when I say I just do my part, like a lot of these, there's a lot of issues, but there's a lot of other people who already I ain't gonna say who already who that's what they do, right? So what I do is taking the mentoring. Like there's a lot of young black men who ain't got daddies in their life and they need that male role model. So teaching them various things. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying? So when I say I know when I use the term I don't care, it's harsh and people take that literally. I think a better term is I don't focus on that. I focus on what I can do. And even talking about
Yeah.
things, like I don't feel like I said, um, If I even when I talk about things, I rather it be more directed than just talking to everybody. Because when you talk to everybody, it become a distraction. So a lot of issues for black people, I don't think black people need to be talking to nobody else about it but black people. I'm just being honest and real. I think if other people want to come in and help, that's fine. But I'm not going out talking to everybody to be distracted from talking about how we can solve things or what we can do. I'm gonna be distracted by somebody who need to for me to convince them that I'm going through this.
Sure. And so again, going back to like what you started with how your parents sort of raised you, like it's always good to take care of your own responsibilities before you deal with somebody else's. Clean your own house first, and it's up to you to decide how available you are to help somebody else. But I like you do want to help other people, and I think
You can
again,
help them in my
I'm not
own way.
saying you're, and
It, it, it,
I'm not saying it's the wrong way. I'm saying there are, there's
it,
also,
and I-
wait, would you say
but
you
it
can't,
sounds,
when you
but
say
see,
just the
it
word,
sounds like
I
just
could try.
real quick. It just sounds like you is like you want me to help people the way you want me to help
No, no,
people
no.
versus
I'm,
the
I'm,
way
I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
I
explain.
can be something and efficient and
Listen,
helping
there's
people.
people that
I
that
keep
help
saying I'm not
like
trying to
Some
change you.
people be, some people be doctors.
I keep
Some
saying
people
I'm
be
not trying to
lawyers.
change you. What I'm
Keep
saying is,
saying that, but I'm saying your argument, the way you
okay,
go ahead, my friend is like you talk. Go ahead.
because you're getting kind of defensive, and I was going to address this because I got the sense of that already. Is that this isn't about you, there only being one right way to do things. I think if you're going to help people find ways to empower themselves in self help, and you're dedicated to that, then good on you. And again, I'm not trying to change you. However, I think when you said you can't do anything about those things, that's a disempowering rhetoric that you might just want to think about how that influences your audience about thinking those things when they might want to address them. Because I disagree with you that
mm,
it's that that for example, I would actually see trying to help people on an individual level as being at least equally productive as trying to address the systemic inequalities that also face those people. Because if I've learned anything about myself, it's that first of all, when I did mind over matter, if I just think it, it becomes real in my head, and so therefore it becomes a prophecy. That worked up until a limit, right? And the limit was my actual disabilities and deficits, because I couldn't change those just by thinking differently about them. And the same thing ends up being true for self help. People can change themselves, but the people who are most disaffected by systemic inequalities will be the most difficult to change with personal self help because these are systemic issues. And so I think the most important thing to help when helping people is understanding what's a personal issue, what's a you thing, what do you actually have control over, like you're saying, but also what is something we need to fight? What is something we need to change so that way you're not just a victim? Because uh, if you really want, like, even if you want to help a single person holistically, then you can't just focus on their personal shortcomings. You have to ask, especially if they're saying like, I want to be here but I feel down here, and I feel and I've done everything I can but I can't get up here. If you start running out of answers, there's a good chance that this is more of a systemic thing. This might have to do with them not getting the right supports while growing up for maybe a disability they had or something that maybe they haven't even accepted for themselves as a disability because the people around them refuse to call it a disability. And these sort of things propagate into somebody's worldview to the point later on in life where they refuse to even accept that there are limitations, like actual, and not even barriers, I call them hurdles, but things that you have to put extra effort into getting over just to keep up with everybody else. And one of the things I've, like, when I first encountered Jordan Peterson, one of the things that bothered me about him the most was that as somebody who had already done the mind over matter thing, at least in the mental component, cleaned my room, um, his advice was meaningless to me. It was all just kind of philosophical bloviation, because it doesn't do anything to address systemic inequalities. And for someone like me who would actually love some sort of thing I can do to do better, that isn't just waiting for something in the system to change, it's very disempowering to think that the system only has answers for how I just need to change, even though I can't. And so, again, I just think maybe be more open-minded to the idea that while personal change is definitely more within your personal reach, we need a discussion about how to have a collective identity, a collective purpose. Because I think, again, going back to, if you want to help people, it's not just giving them advice, it's giving them a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning. And in my opinion, it's a lost cause to try to do that in capitalism, especially in 2025. For example,
But there's all kinds of
I do,
fights, right?
yeah.
There's
Oh no, and I agree, and you can't do them all. And
there's food, right? There's people that fight for trees, children,
Yeah,
animals.
that,
and you can't do them all, and I 100% agree with you. But that's where I think the thing that you are doing, you have to. It's like the rock garden, right? The word it's about being patient with it and having a clear mind while doing it. And when you say, like, you can't change anything at the level of collectively organizing and trying to fight a systemic injustice, well, that's just not true. Like, plenty of systemic injustices have been fought that way, and this is one of those things where, on a collective level, it's not just you, but the only thing that's stopping us from doing that is these sort of narratives.
You're probably right that Word could do something if that was his plight, but that's not his plight. That's not his focus,
yeah,
right?
No.
But if he wanted
yeah.
to, he could. He definitely could.
But
See, this is what I'm saying.
my
You seeing me where I'm at now, and don't know how I got there. You know what
no,
I'm saying?
I'm
Don't know
trying.
how,
I'm trying to say,
and
I'm
go ahead.
imagining you, and this is a presupposition, and I apologize for doing that. Being like Jordan Peterson, and actually, I believe he genuinely wants to help people, but then being really frustrated when you arrive at people who just get angry at the advice you give. And that would have been me if Jordan Peterson talked to me, especially in my early on era of debate. Because there's definitely a group of people who that advice is not for. And I'm not saying your advice has to
And
be for
he's not
everybody.
talking to those people, right?
I'm not. And see, that's what I'm saying. It's like a lot of, like, man, if you know my journey, you know what I'm saying. I don't even share
You need to let
everything,
me
but
finish, though.
yeah, you can talk for about 4 5 minutes. But go ahead. Go
I'm
ahead.
just
You
trying
got
to
it.
be as considerate as possible, so I have to say a little bit extra to try to show you
I
I'm
know,
not
but there's a lot to unpack. There's like
sure.
5 points already. But no, you
And
got to
I
go
will
ahead.
have to go. So I'll try to make this as concise as possible. It's not about necessarily what you do. It's the idea that at some point we're going to, especially because, like, climate change is going to mess up everything we know, but that's a side issue. People aren't going to be like, we don't get purposes, like full fleshed out human purposes, from capitalism and by participating in it. And I think having a narrative that takes for granted a lot of these things that we currently do, um, puts people into that cycle of feeling, well, now I've tried what you said and I feel unfulfilled. And I'm against that personally from the self-help industry, because that just gets people buying more books, but it doesn't actually lead to any internal solutions.
Wait, you've done this before. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, finish.
But if you want to find internal solutions for people, you need to help them separate, like, literally what is in control, what is their fault, what they are doing, and what's being done to them specifically, and not just control.
Yeah.
And that's And my only advice would be the better that you can make that distinction within the people you're trying to give advice to and help guide them along those lines, the more people you'll be able to help with the same rhetoric, but just a little bit of nuance, if that makes sense. All I'm saying, like, we're all trying to do better, and this is one way I think self-help people in general can do better.
And there's a couple things like just to understand foundation because I know you kind of knew over there, but this on here I have more conversation and interactions with people. Like I got a business, I'm a life coach and I got a business, so what I do on here is even different from that.
A life
So
coach means
like
taking your client like taking on them on personally and knowing their problems personally, right? You're not just giving them carpeted or catch-all
I don't give
advice.
I don't give advice at all. I help guide people,
Then that's not life coaching.
to find a
But
solution.
Melanie's
That is life
challenging the
coaching.
self-help, right? But think
But
of it like,
she the challenge but it's an assumption because one, she never was my client, so she don't know my ideology or methodology.
yeah, you don't know
That's
his
one.
abilities.
You don't know how I go about it. Like I said, here I don't coach people. I don't even give people advice on it. Like even when people ask stuff, I very rarely give them my opinion. And I try to unpack what they saying and what it means to them.
Okay, well,
So like even by your definition of life coach, I don't know where you got the definition from, but taking the courses, our job is not to give people advice. That's what counselors do. That's what therapists do. Our job is to unpack what a person needs by helping them develop the understanding themselves.
okay.
That's what life coaches do.
I do have to go, so I have to wrap this up. And it's just food for thought. Like I said, I just want to show you that the water is very drinkable, and I know I can't make you drink. But if I could wrap it up in a very clean kind of just thing that I see an issue with is that, again, self-help tries to get people to participate within capitalism, and this is just a single issue. This isn't the whole issue. And the problem with that is that capitalism can only sell us identities that are basically a shell of the self. They're incomplete. And so all you're coaching people to do is to have a shell of the self. And also, if you're not actually working with people one-on-one, I don't know how much you're actually coaching them, but that's just
That's what I.
semantics. So I'll
That's
leave.
what I do.
So I
I
don't care.
coach one. I do one-on-one coaching.
Okay, no, but that's what I'm
I,
saying. That if you're doing
yeah,
one-on-one, then you have to get to know people a bit, and then you might
yeah.
want to get to know what actually is within someone's
That's
locus of control and what's actually being done to someone by outside forces.
There's one person on here that I coach, and maybe one day he'll want to come on here and talk about the experience. But it's total opposite of everything you perceive it as coaching or self help.
I
The way
have
I do it.
actually done a lot of
Everybody do
research
stuff
on
different.
how it's done.
No, I'm talking about look, I'm Melanie, just like you a cosmic clock. I'm a Leviathan. I don't even do it. I do it different from everybody. I don't do it the way what's his name? All the mother I got my own style and I got my
But the
own
word,
intent.
here's a philosophical question. Who will life coach the life coaches? And I'm sorry, I do have to go because of work. It's not to be disrespectful. Thank you for having me, and I hope to be on again. And thank you, Commander. You've been lovely. Um, and sorry,
Thank you,
but
Melanie.
now I
Thank
have
you,
to
Melanie.
now I have to shift gears, so my brain's broken. But you've both been lovely, and the word, seriously, no disrespect. It's
No,
all
it wasn't this. I mean,
it's
I
all
can't feel disrespected. I
it's all
mean,
meant to be positive, constructive criticism. I'm not trying to tear you down one bit.
no,
Although
I mean, I don't. From even like I said, everything you said is an assumption to me because
I had to stop myself when
nothing
I
you
started
said
getting
applies to me.
semantical. So that was my
Yeah,
bad.
I mean, it just didn't apply to me. And I was just being honest. Like, I mean, that's your experience, and I understand, but that none of it applies to me.
I get what you're
Even
saying, though, Melanie. I get it.
Thank you.
yeah, I get what you're saying.
I
That's
get
your
it.
opinion about.
I do have to go. Much love. Bye.
Okay, bye. Much love.
Oh, damn it.
I get what she's saying. Like, well, two things. One is, like, okay, someone saying, well, I can't do nothing about that. Okay, yes, you know, if we wanted to, we could do something in some way, right, to contribute. Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
If that's what you
you
want to
can,
do.
that's what I'm saying. But and then like a lot of times, like we all project our reality, you know, and that's just her perception of how she view life. Like you take on this fight, that fight, that fight. I was a jack of all trades at one point, and I sat down and started mastering what I could, what I was good at. I started mastering it, and I apply that now. Versus I can't, I'm not him. I'm not Jesus. So the fight of the world ain't on me, but I can play my part, and that's what I'm doing, playing my part.
Yeah,
Not
within
trying to be
people's
something I'm
limits.
not. Yeah.
There's
I
obviously
ain't
going to be
trying to
things
be.
that are people are limited to, or like she's saying that no matter how much
And
they
then
change, there's going to be something there that stops them. Like, I get that part.
and and even like in the conversation, that's what I said it was like a lot of assumption because what I do on here is not what I do in real life. So, like I said, I don't take the. I'm in 3 different organizations. You do various things. I have a family nonprofit where we do. So I help in different ways, not just what I do on here. So, and I've been doing this. Before I got my injury. That's when we had. That's when we created the nonprofit organization. So it's,
I mean, I had,
it's a lot of assuming and assumption, and I'm connected to different people, and I assist them in any way I possibly can with different aspects of you know um, not self development, but like I said, my sister, she do certain things, but if I can rock out with her, then I help her, and then I got other people who got other organizations. And when I can lend a hand to them, I help with them, but I don't take the lead on everything. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't.
yeah, you can't do everything. I don't know if you're closing out or not. Mr. Blonde is in the back. He always comes in late.
Yeah,
Mr.
Mr.
Blonde.
Blonde. Yeah, I'm about to jump off, bro. I'm literally about to jump off. But
So next time maybe we can play. I posted a video link, a YouTube video. It
oh
was
my
a
bad.
lady reacting to Carmelo and his GoFundMe and that sort of thing. Like how a lot of
Mhm.
people donated to him, and she was talking about, I guess, some organization that helps children and schooling, and how they can barely get like $25,000 in donations, but other people are getting 500, 600, a million, like hundreds,
Mm.
hundreds of thousands, and where your money can impact the most, like what you do and your money can impact the most for the Black community.
Yeah.
But
But my bad, Mr. Blonde. I'm about to get off here real quick. Yeah, I gotta get up early. I gotta cut a tree down.
shout out to you, Mr. Blonde. I haven't been on panel
Yeah,
with you, but maybe next time we'll get to
yeah,
do that.
yeah. Next time we can wrap that up. Next time. I ain't even see the chat. Does anybody send anything in the chat?
Has anybody what? Has anybody what in the chat?
Well, no, I wasn't looking at the chat. I was uh, getting this box together for the kids for tomorrow.
Well, it's Vent Friday, and in that link, if you go on the video in the comments, I put two spots in the video, but the second one, at the 22 mark, is the one that I wanted us to play, because it's basically she's venting. She's just venting, but she makes a good point. She makes a very good point. It's a couple of minutes, but next time we can do that,
Yeah, definitely,
because there's more coming
definitely.
out with the Carmelo situation. All right, good night,
Uh,
Nine. Good night,
all right,
chat.
good night, man. Appreciate y'all, man. I didn't even know it was 3 o'clock. When I seen that, I'm like, take my ass to sleep. I'm gonna
Yeah,
be
it's
up in
getting
like
late.
4 hours. About 7:30. I gotta get my stuff done. But let me get my butt off here. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all for rocking out, man. Y'all know what I always say, care about how you feel. I'm a farmer. You might can't do what I do, like I can't do what you do. Hey, Flash Water. Hey. If you get a chance, I don't know if you got my ID. Hit me up, man. I wanted to interview a farmer. I think that it's two people I tried to link up with. Well, one person I wanted to link up with, but I was like, I'm straight. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I want to bring different, I can only do what I do, like you said, right? But there's other people who can come up here and we can have discussion. And I think that's important because maybe somebody can get into farming, but don't know how to. They don't know what it takes to farm, so I want to talk to everybody. That's the whole point of me building the nine. I'm gonna do what I can do, but I want other people to do what they do and come over and we work as a collective. I do what I do, you do what you do, and we all add with what we got. You know what I'm saying? We all add with what we got, and we all got something to offer. But like if we do that, I think we'd be more effective and efficient than one person trying to do everything. So I'm trying to bring people together to do different things because just the information can be either motivation, education, or inspiration for somebody else to get into it. So definitely, farmers is one because look, in the next 5 years, I'm going to get me some land and I'm going to chill, Blackwater. I'm telling you, I'm going to chill. I came up in the backwoods. I like nature. I love it. I isolate myself, get a couple acres and relax. Give me some animals, give me some crop, and I'm good to go. I'm good to go. But yeah, I definitely want to link up. My brother Gary just woke back up. Did I just see Gary? No, I thought I seen Gary. But yeah, I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all know what I always say. Care about how you feel. These are conversations to build nations. And if I say anything else that resonated with you, do me a favor, hit that share button, tell somebody, help me spread the word. But until next time.
And do it for the nine.
What up, Nine?
Acknowledge me!
They've been telling y'all and I came to tell y'all, right? The way you feel influences the way you think, and the way you think dictates the actions